Hello and welcome to Human Happy Hour Holiday Bash.
Hey, Jason.
Hello. Hi,
So
guys.
today is a special episode because we are joined by our behind the scenes crew. So this group is responsible for booking guests and anything that needs to happen basically behind the scenes and that makes this show work. And we're really happy to have them here with us. So just wave when I say your name. So we're joined by Kay and Kesare and Alex. And since Alex is our meeting facilitator and he is amazing at it, Alex is actually going to walk us through some of the fun topics that we're going to discuss as a group today.
Okay. Well, I thought you were gonna do more stuff before we hopped into this part of it, so no, I'm not ready.
Well,
But
the whole point of the Human Happy Hour Holiday Bash is one thing is we never get to be on stream together, and that's why I was really excited to do it myself because I can't wait to hear Kay talk.
yeah, I forget exactly how this all became or was created or ideated, but yeah, it's somehow come to be.
Ideated.
So for some reason, I'm on the stream right now, which is never a part of these plans. Yeah. But yeah, I think well, one thing that we sort of discovered while we were trying to, I guess, make the idea for this is that nobody really appreciates the Christmas holiday that much outside of Jason in the group. So, sorry folks if you're, watching and then this becomes highly cynical to you. We mean the best from it. It's the most loving group of holiday cynical people that you might find, at least live streaming right now. Okay, but yeah, since I'm the dude who runs the meetings, I'm gonna facilitate a little roundtable discussion that we are prepared. Uh, and this is just an opportunity for you to get to know everybody a little bit better, and then we'll share some stuff about our holiday experiences, and hopefully you all can relate. And then we will spend some time since it's the end of the year, it's the end of our first season at the show. We're going to spend some time just talking about our favorite episodes from this season and maybe talk about some stuff that we're excited for next time around. I don't know. Whatever we have the time for. Okay. So with that, is there anything else before we hop into roundtable stuff? I have a set of topics here. Anything I'm missing?
Is today first day of Hanukkah or something, or is it today Hanukkah? Wait, right?
Oh
Tonight
man.
is it is the
Oh,
first day
nice.
of Hanukkah. Look, I actually for the first time in my adult life, I have a menorah. Look, it's see?
Oh,
Oh yeah, I do see that.
Oh wow,
So what do you,
nice.
yeah, maybe explain what that entails for it, because I don't really, I remember us having to learn all these things in school, but I don't really remember how anyone's holiday works.
So, okay, so now I'm going to explain Hanukkah. All right,
Yes, yes,
sure.
yes, you're gonna explain it.
So, Hanukkah is the festival of lights, and I'll give you like the brief story. It's kind of about guerrilla warfare. So,
Whoa.
yeah, you had like Judah and the Maccabees were fighting. I think it was like the Roman Empire. I could be wrong about it. It's been a while since Hebrew school. So, but you got Judah and the Maccabees, and they're fighting. And they're because they've destroyed the temple, and most Jewish holidays involve like some people trying to kill or destroy, and then you've got to like overcome and survive, and then there's a lot of food involved. But so so the temple was destroyed, right? Like the very holy temple, and they wanted to light the candle, right? But there was only enough oil to burn for one night. But then, like miraculously, the oil burned for 8 nights. So
How did it do that?
who knows, Jason?
Not from Jesus, right?
No,
No,
not Jason
not
for sure.
no.
Okay.
It's long before Jesus.
Yeah. Yes, long before Jesus. Yeah, it's a miracle. That's what it was. It was a miracle. So so because the oil burned for, man, you guys are really taking me back because I'm like trying to, it's been years since I have told the Hanukkah story or like been in a Hebrew setting or any kind of religious setting. So apologies to anybody if I've like messed it up. But yeah, so you light the Jason's laughing. So you light the candles, you light one each night. There's the tall one, you can see like the tall one in the middle, that's the shamash. Okay, and you use that candle to light the other candles. So tonight is the first night, so then you're gonna light one candle and then you're gonna have the shamash burning. And then you eat jelly donuts and potato latkes, and you put
Jelly
the latkes.
donuts.
Yeah.
That's
That-
tradition that goes way back. Like
You know what I
this is
remember?
the first thing you said.
Yeah,
Legit.
because I remember it from Jewish Sesame Street. Okay, like that's where I remember
Jewish
the
Sesame
jelly
Street.
donuts.
This is a
I think
thing.
a lot of it is
Okay.
because like the foods they're fried in the oil, you know, because it's about like the oil.
Okay.
Like so, yeah. So and I think like the donuts, you fry the donuts in the oil too, and there's jelly. But yeah, I remember the jelly donuts from Hebrew Sesame Street. So that's why they stick out.
Shalom Sesame.
Wait, is that
Yes,
Is this
Shalom
the-
Sesame, where there's a porcupine instead of Big Bird, Kippy the porcupine, and there is Moishe Ufnik, who is Oscar's Jewish cousin.
Oh,
That's
Wow.
really cool.
Does
That's
does
really
that
cool.
live in a trash can?
Yeah, he lives in a trash can too.
Okay. Wow.
It's really
This is
cool.
amazing.
I had
All
no
right.
idea.
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Huh. We didn't
Your
get
YouTube
Jewish Sesame
spiral
Street.
for later.
We didn't get it.
I
for-
had it like on video cassette. Like my grandfather bought it for us, so we had it on like we had cassettes of Jewish Sesame
I don't think they
Street.
showed that in Vermont. I don't. I think it was a big.
Oh
Probably
man.
Nobody knows what it is unless you lived in Israel or grew up Jewish and somebody bought it for you.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. Oh, yeah.
Straight to VHS.
Yeah, because I think like you know
probably.
Sesame Street's in like all different countries. I think like that was like the
oh,
Israel.
I didn't know
Sesame
that either. It makes sense. But
Nice.
all right, awesome.
Moishe Ufnik
Street. Mm-hmm.
is a brown grouch who lives in a broken car. He's the resident grouch.
Yep.
Okay. That's amazing.
Wowzers.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy that we addressed that. I
wow.
don't feel like I actually know the story of Hanukkah though. So I'm not sure if we accomplished that one.
It's about a magic lamp. It's like Aladdin.
Yeah. Oil lasted more days than it was
Yes.
supposed to. That's the whole
Yes.
story.
Yeah, basically.
Yes, and donuts.
Yeah, jelly
Well,
donuts.
We're
That's
really
awesome.
focused on these donuts.
I feel like that's where it ended. Rena
Oh.
was finally catching her. She was finally catching her stride in explaining, and then she said jelly donuts, and then it all devolved from there.
Yes.
That's where we left off basically. So that's my takeaway.
Now I feel like I should like Google it to
Fact check yourself.
myself. Yes.
I'm gonna see if any of my friends from high school are watching. They're like Jewish people who might know things and fact check you.
Hmm.
Oh
I
my
don't think
God.
they
Yeah.
I don't
so
think they
here's
follow their things very much. Sorry,
200
everyone, if you're watching.
BC. See?
Jelly donuts were in 200 BC.
No, I mean
No, the story.
Yeah, the
oh well,
The
we're
story.
I thought you were fact checking jelly donuts. Sorry.
No,
Then you're like,
I don't
200
know where the
BC.
jelly donuts came in.
Oh, all right. That's the most interesting part. I want to know that.
It's called
Yeah, so it was-
Sufganaya. What is that? Is that the name
Yeah,
of the donut?
Sufganiyot.
Sufganyot.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yes. Maybe. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, they look delicious.
I-
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess they were rededicating the temple after it, I think, was desecrated, and that's why they were lighting the oil.
All
Okay.
right. I feel like I know more about it now. I'll forget it, but I know it right now.
Yeah. Well, get some educational stuff out there for the youngins, before we.
But
Before
you want to
this
hear
turns
something
into-
like while we're on the topic of like religious, like these stories and things?
Mhm.
I've been watching this show on Netflix that, of course, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like this journalist he goes and explores all of these different like archaeological theories, and he kind of debunks a lot of the conventional knowledge, and he looks at all of these
Oh.
like do you know what I'm talking about,
Ancient
Alex?
Apocalypse? Is
Yes,
that what you're
yeah.
talking about?
Oh, Graham
It's like-
Hancock. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so
Yeah.
it's so fascinating because like these stories like have these common threads, and it does kind of make you wonder, right? Like if we've had as humans these stories for all of these years, like that maybe there is something to it in that like the environmental stuff, like people trying to explain their environment, right? Like a big flood, something like that, like something like that could have happened, and then for like just generations and generations, and the story changes every time somebody new tells it. But I'm like, I buy that. Like that makes sense.
Well, the flood is in lots of
Yeah.
ancient culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm like, that something must have happened there, and it like, but it's wild that it has stayed in like the human psyche for this long.
Yeah, totally. I love Graham Hancock. I think that's what you're talking about. I know it's what the title of what Alex said, but I'm not sure you guys are talking about the same thing. But
I'm pretty sure we are.
yeah, could be
You're talking about that one guy. He's not like a scientist. He's
N-
he
journalist
just
or
goes
whatever.
around to all
Yeah.
these. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay. Yep. I first
You know
saw
they're
him
all
on-
mad. They're all mad about that. They're like trying to sue Netflix and make them not call it a documentary or whatever.
Yeah.
Make them call it historic fiction or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, he gets that a lot. It's when he starts talking about aliens is what does it for him.
Oh.
Oh, I
That's-
have not seen the aliens part yet.
Well,
but
that's what
like
he goes
the-
back to is ancient
Yeah.
civilizations that happened more than 5,000, because Stonehenge is 5,000 years old, and Obekli Tepe is like 12,000 years old. I love this stuff. That's why I know it. And so if his whole point is that we're wrong about the first human civilizations. And then eventually, if you go deeper, just like Dianetics, eventually there's aliens.
I don't know
Is
if I
this-
could make it to the alien leap, but like
Yeah.
I was
Same here.
believing that, like, and based on the people he was interviewing, I'm like, I do buy that we underestimated the sophistication of earlier societies, and like
Yeah.
that definitely seems
Yep.
feasible.
Yeah.
He's working you up
that
towards
show-
the alien part.
I'll send you a link. Graham Hancock and another guy, Randall Carlson, who's a geologist. They were on Joe Rogan like way, way back, and it's one of the best, most interesting podcasts I've ever heard in my life. It's all just facts, and he's just Randall Carlson's my favorite, actually, not Graham Hancock. All right, but that's all.
Okay.
It's really good. You'll
All
love
right. You're gonna get us we can't be demonetized, but you might get some downvotes from the Academy of Archaeologists or whatever that is. They're gonna be pissed off hearing you talk about some facts.
Well, it's up in the air. I
Sure.
just think it's worth talking about. But they're so caught up in what they know. They don't want any new stuff. Like whoa, it's not 12,000 years. Calm down,
But
buddy.
yeah, I think anything's worth investigating. Like, I mean, you might prove that wrong too,
Right.
but like, why not investigate?
Yeah, when you've had like 40 years of your life devoted to one thing, and then somebody comes along and pees all over it, that's when their character is tested.
All right, well, I'm gonna
These
check.
like
Yeah, go ahead, Kay.
are these the same people like on the History Channel where they kind of go back to like the pyramids or other things that people did in the early days and said, oh, it it couldn't have possibly been people. They weren't smart enough, so it's aliens. Like, have you seen that? I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't watch those shows, but are they kind of like that?
No. They think that no, they just think that today's archaeologists are underestimating how far back civilization started, and that there was a great
Oh.
purge, like by a flood or an asteroid or some kind of thing, and then the glaciers came and wiped everything down to dust, and now we think, and with that information we can go, okay, maybe civilization was a lot longer ago, like the people that came across the Bering Strait. The current theory is that they mass murdered all the giant fauna, all the way from North America to the bottom of South America, which is insanely absurd because there weren't enough people to kill that many animals, including mammoths, and like there were lots of big animals and stuff. So that's part of it, is that that there was actually something that killed everything, not humans didn't do it with bows and arrows and sticks. Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
Huh.
I love it.
Okay.
Huh.
I told you guys we weren't going to have a problem with content because I knew that we'd get on one subject and go crazy with it, because that's
Yeah,
just
that's
how our brains
random.
are. It
That
is
is
random.
interesting, though.
Holiday bash.
Yeah.
We went from Hanukkah to aliens, so
My favorite kinds
Yeah.
of conversations.
Yep. So to wrap it up, we're gonna have to
Bring
check
us
back
in.
with Rena when she gets to the part where the aliens get introduced and see if everything before that, successfully paved the way for her to be receptive to it.
For me
I
to
think
buy
that's
in. Yeah.
I think that's they're building up, oh yeah, I guess that could have happened. That could be. Oh, that does kind of look like a laser gun did it. Oh, and then all of a sudden,
Well, there's
Alien.
pictures of like helicopters or planes that like it's very much has like a wing and then a back tail thing,
That's
but so people
That's
are
right.
saying
man,
in ancient. Well, I didn't say I believe it. I'm just saying that's what they're going. They're pointing at stuff,
Yeah, like
going
that's all losing me. Like where I am right now is I'm like, yeah, I believe that current archaeologists underestimated what people could do in
yeah.
the past.
That's where I am too.
That's what that's where I live. But yeah, if you're gonna tell me aliens and then I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think we have the facts for that either.
I feel the same way about Dianetics. So you have me up to the aliens, because everything else is just psychology. It's really kind of neat, actually. But then wizards and stuff, that's weird.
Dianetics, like the Scientologists?
Yeah.
Dianetics?
Yeah, I
Oh.
read L. Ron Hubbard, that Dianetics, and I read and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. Then aliens, what? I'm like, and then I was just
So
like,
you almost became a Scientologist, but then
I would have
aliens
if they
were
didn't get
involved.
nuts. If they didn't get nuts and have superpowers and shit, I would have been all over it. But because psychology is interesting, like negative engrams in your head and clearing them out and reliving your traumas and stuff. That's all real stuff. But then it's all about like these aliens that dropped us off and are coming back to get us, and everybody has superpowers. It's very bizarre.
I don't know how much psychology is really involved in
The beginning is.
Scientology.
Kesare just shaking his
Well,
head.
tell us, Kesare.
Tell you what.
I want that kind of intensity with facts.
You're telling me that because some of it felt right, the overall structure may have some problems, but some of it, like the whole thing's garbage. Doesn't even freaking matter if the psychology felt good. It's all horseshit.
Yeah,
Through and through.
up to the
So-
not for me anyway. Like I
See, but
really
it doesn't matter. What do you mean for you? Is
Well-
reality subjective?
no, but you can have the beginning
there's
of
no
a conversation.
overlap.
You can have the beginning of a conversation and be like, oh yeah, that's cool, I like that, and then they can go, but then there were aliens, and you're like, whoa. That's exactly
Okay,
what I
but
mean.
Yeah.
do you know the history of L. Ron?
Oh, he's a
Hubbard? Like, what
lunatic. Oh, he's a horrifying man.
But
he was
Absolutely
a
horrifying.
fiction writer, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
he's like,
he's a
let me
lunatic.
make some money
100%.
and let me start a religion, and he made all this stuff.
Yeah,
right?
terrible
So-
man. Absolutely.
So, okay, allow me to try to identify where the gap is here, because you keep agreeing with them, Jason, but they're saying that what you were saying is nonsense.
Oh no,
there's
I
a
didn't say
part-
what he said. The very beginning of the beginning
Yeah.
of the book, it's not. I don't believe is nonsense. It actually makes sense.
Okay.
And then it gets nuts, and then
Right,
I'm
so-
just like done after that.
That's what I'm trying to pull out. There's a
Yeah.
part of it that you're saying is grounded in psychology
Well, at least
and that part's really interesting.
in hypnotherapy anyway. Yeah.
in hypnotherapy.
Yeah, like I've
Okay.
I've done hypnotherapy, and you meditate, you get hypnotized, you go back to an old trauma, you relive it, you can change it by adding things to it. That's all in Dianetics too, except you have some auditor guy that's cleansing you. They just use different words. Really.
The auditor guy cleansing you, that didn't red flag it for you? Because like that would have been
No. The word, but that's just the words they picked. It could be therapist
No.
hypnotizing you.
No, those
No?
words
Why?
are picked specifically because of the way it builds into the overall structure of what he puts together.
Yes, I agree, and I can get
think-
past the words and get to the meat.
It
There's no
sounds
And I
meat.
like,
think
The meat is to get you to buy into the words.
huh?
You're coming at it the wrong way.
Well, I
But I
didn't
think,
become a Scientologist, and I got some good
Only
stuff out of
because
it.
of the aliens part. That's what's concerning.
No, I firmly believe that the beginning of that book makes perfect sense, especially when he could call them Gumblegees and Jingleblops, and I wouldn't give a crap what he called it.
And
I know what he was
that's the
saying.
problem.
Why?
Because then you've automatically bought into his framework. That's
I'm
what he
way more
wants in the
clever
first
than that.
place.
Oh no,
What?
no, not me. If that's like
No,
saying
no,
if you
no,
go
no,
to a
not
foreign,
me. Yeah,
if you
the
go to a foreign
propaganda never
country,
works on me.
that's like saying if you go to a foreign country and they call it something else, now you can't believe them. It's just another language is all he's doing. It's just I don't particularly like it.
That's not how the English language works. That's not how
Ah.
communication works.
It works for me. I must be adaptable.
So reality is subjective then.
Well, you're asking a completely different question.
No,
Language and
those two
words are
things
not reality.
exactly the same because you're saying that reality is thus based off of how you feel.
No, I didn't change. I don't think they changed reality. I think they changed titles and names. That's different. You can
Right,
change
and
titles and names all the time. That's not reality different. That doesn't change reality.
It changes the framework.
Sure, but we're doing that nowadays with everything. Pronouns
Right,
are
but
different. We're changing
but I'm
that.
saying, okay, but you are saying that because these two things come out the same way in some way in your sense, but they use different words,
Mhm.
that they're functionally the same, and they're not.
They gave me value and reminded me of actual things that
Okay, so
happened
now-
to me.
Okay, so they've given you value,
Yes, I wouldn't.
and what
I
does
wouldn't
that
say.
have to do with this belief structure being?
Oh, well, the
good,
beginning
bad,
is.
because you're saying without these aliens,
Mhm.
this makes sense, but it wants to make sense to you. It's luring you into a false framework, a
Oh,
false
yeah.
reality.
A much simpler person might not like Tom Cruise. He probably shouldn't have read it. I
Oh,
agree.
Lord. Okay, okay. We done started dissing Tom Cruise, and we haven't even started talking about how the movies are propaganda. We're just talking about Scientology. Let me break in here real quick. I think
That's the best
I think
conversation
what I
I've
hear-
had in so long. Thank you, Kesare.
I hear Jason saying, okay, there's some stuff in there that lines up with real psychology, and thinking about that stuff was useful to him in a way, but then it eventually went completely off a cliff. And Kesare is saying, don't associate that stuff that's sort of duplicative of real psychology, because that's like a manipulation, a trick. And I think both of those things can kind of exist
Yeah, totally.
At the same time.
No, they can't.
That's what I was saying.
No, they can't both exist. That's not. They can't both exist
No,
because
no,
the
no,
moment
no.
you accept the other framework, they can also shave off what the truth means on that concept.
Sure. Yes.
Because they're now
you're right.
defining what psychology is. They're defining
Yes.
what that validity is.
Yes.
Right. But I think I think that can be perfectly true and correct, and it still be possible that Jason received some inspiration from the copy of truth.
Agree to disagree.
Okay. Yeah. So
Well, I definitely
Anyway.
received some inspiration.
Yeah, at the end of the day, no one is a Scientologist here.
No,
so
no,
I guess
they're
that is
lunatics.
nobody here is trying to make people believe in aliens. Believe whatever
Well,
y'all want.
aliens are I believe in aliens. I just don't believe they're visiting us.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
alien related theories that come out
Right.
of these things.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay.
they're lunatics, especially the ones because they make it up. Like they know the names of the ones that are out there. What? It's totally stupid.
Okay. All right. Well, you all eventually converge at a certain point, so I'm
Oh, of
fine with
course.
that.
Yeah, well, we're pretty logical people.
What were you saying, Rena?
I don't even know.
You don't even. She's like
Jewish jelly
Forget it.
donuts.
Yeah,
This is where it
forget
started.
it.
So what
Okay.
happens on the second day of Hanukkah?
Yes.
You light another candle and like what we used
Do you
when
eat
we were
something
kids.
different?
Like not really. Oh, you play dreidel. I didn't tell you guys about dreidel. You play
I love
dreidel
dreidel.
with the Hanukkah gelt. And
Now,
yeah,
do you
and
feel do you feel like you have to make that noise before you say Hanukkah? Because you never.
that's how that's how you just
Okay.
like challah.
I'm asking because I don't know.
Yeah, like Hanukkah, challah. Like
Okay, cool. All right, that
That's
answers my
the-
question.
that's the pronunciation of
Hanukkah.
it.
Hanukkah.
All
Right?
right, there you go.
I'm just trying to get it.
When you grow up going to Hebrew school, like you just learn all of it. Like so there are letters in the Hebrew alphabet that make those sounds.
Ah,
So
thank you.
that's
Okay.
that's why. That's where it comes from.
I understand.
So now that
And
we've
the-
established, okay, go okay.
Sorry, no.
No,
No,
you
it's
gotta
okay, we
go
can
now.
do-
You have to go
Okay,
now.
so during Hanukkah, like you exchange gifts every day, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's like but
it's
all right, let
small.
me preface this by saying like when you're a kid, you get
gifts.
like one night you get like socks, okay? Like it's not you don't get like or at least like when we were kid, it was like you get one big gift and you get to like pick the night. Like it's either the last night or you can pick the night that you get your like one big gift. But like the rest of the nights, it's just like little gifts. So you might one night get socks or some small.
So it's low key. It's not like
Yeah, it's not.
not
It's
like
actually
this.
not a major Jewish holiday. Even it's just it gets played up because you can commercialize it and say like buy things and gifts and but it isn't one of the major holidays.
Oh, that's
Okay.
interesting.
Hanging
I
out
didn't
next
know
to
that either.
Christmas. So you are the gifts that you get themed at all, or it's just like you're getting a little
They're
gift?
they're,
Okay.
they're Hanukkah.
No, they're just
Themed.
like the same way people, and I'm sure that came with like capitalism. Like I don't think that like gifts were associated with it before, but then like the more like Christmas gift giving and all of that was
Yeah.
marketing, and then like I was like, well, hey, we can get people to buy gifts for this holiday too. So
Like
here
you
we
used to get
go.
a pat on the back or something like that, and now you get like a Tonka truck.
I would have to look up like when did the whole gift giving thing start, because I'm sure that was not a part of the original celebration.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I can't wait till we talk. The first person goes and they say something they don't like about the world. Then that just coasts us all the way to the end of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
it
These are
definitely
like
could.
hefty topics, and we already
It definitely could.
we're
like
we
half
might
an
need to just
hour into
pick-
this.
We might need to just pick one of the topics, and then do
Yeah.
our like show roundup thing, because I feel like one
we could.
topic. will
Yeah,
take
we
us.
could try to make it so that people have anything they because like a couple of the categories were like meh, and then a couple of them were like, oh, that's like an interesting thing. So we can try to prioritize or something like that once we get into it.
Maybe we each pick one of the things of the 5 things that we've decided to go with. Rather, that way it cuts it down from, well,
It should be
5
4
times 5 is 25 things down to 5 things.
You should only have 4 things to start.
Oh, there's
That-
5 bulbs.
But that was basically what I was saying, Jason, we're just gonna let
okay.
people
It's a
pick
good
what
idea.
they think is their best one.
Oh, nice.
and so that we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then we can always go back to the general roundtable if we still need this stuff or whatever. But I have a feeling, like everyone else, that we won't. Okay, I gotta make sure that I'm done asking questions about Hanukkah.
I have 1,000 questions about everything that we just said.
There are more questions about. So
There's
you
like
all
a
like
good
never had
Rugrats
a.
episode that you can watch that'll explain Hanukkah.
Oh,
and you're all
there
set.
you go. There you
Damn.
go. But so none of you had any like touch points with it. This is so interesting.
Yeah.
Like you're all
I
like,
learned a lot about this stuff growing up.
No.
I mean, I feel like we spent a good amount of time on this when I was like a little kid, but I don't remember barely anything from being a little kid, so this definitely didn't make it through. But I will watch that Rugrats episode because I feel like it may help me.
There's a good Passover one too.
Okay,
oh yeah, Passover. That's another whole thing.
what's that?
Oh boy, I'm not going to explain Passover.
Let's.
We'll save that for another episode.
Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
I'm just kidding. Pretty
At
sure
least I feel like the Hanukkah
Pretty sure.
fits with the theme of
Yeah.
it being the holiday bash. So
Yeah, Passover is like when you hide in the house or whatever, and then you
no.
All right, let's
go to
move
breakfast
on.
or
Let's
whatever
move on.
early.
Let's just move on.
It's not that. Oh,
That's
No.
you know I'm close.
There
but
are
we
no
will-
jelly
but
donuts.
I'll allow us to move on because I was so close anyway.
No.
Okay, so let's all right, let's get started with some Xmas Bash discourse. All right, how about we just do this? I'm gonna generate a random number, and then that will determine who has to give me their top shot.
Some people are not going to want to go first. You should-
Kesare,
Yay!
the random number
Um,
generator has selected you.
awesome.
You can choose any of the topics, whichever one you have the most exciting thing.
Yeah. So the good thing, our state actually passed. We added the right to collective bargaining to our state constitution. So we've maintained the right to unionize in our state constitution. So even if it gets messed up federally, we still have the ability to collectively bargain.
Your state just randomly, not randomly, but they
No,
just
no.
decided to codify it, like just in case.
Wisconsin above us has been taking stuff away by making it more selective what you can strike. So that started building a movement in Illinois, and it just finally culminated into this last election, which was it was pretty interesting. There were a lot more like because I'm an election judge, there were a lot more you could tell more union people voting than normal because they wanted to make sure that this passed.
That's so funny. One of the things that was high on my list to do for the good thing was just sort of rising, pro-union sentiment and stuff like that in general nationally, but I didn't even know about that. That's super cool. Yeah, that's it is. I mean, it's important to do that stuff even if it seems symbolic because I mean, shit is crazy. Like there really might be true federal level anti-union stuff and that could happen regardless of which of the, pro wrestlers are in charge at the time. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I would like to actually read more, or at least read what the language of that is, because that's very interesting. Have you been in a union before?
Technically, but no.
No.
What,
Have any of you all been in a union?
No.
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
I never had a job that cool.
The grocery store I worked at, everyone was automatically in a union, but I never went to a meeting. I never anything. So
one of those things.
I was way too young to even understand what it was about. So,
yeah.
But other than that, no, I have.
What
not.
did you say that you were a judge? What is it again?
Election judge?
What is that? What do they do? I mean, judge
when
elections.
people, so you go no, Like
Okay.
when you go in and vote, there are people who sit there and take your information. I am the person that takes your information, finds you in the poll book, and gives you
Oh.
a thing so you can. It's pretty simple, and you know it's a long day. But I started it. What was it when the pandemic started? Because there were a lot of people who weren't going to be able to do it, especially because we have a lot of older people. So I thought, what the hell?
Hmm.
And you know,
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Do you think, even though you didn't know anything about your union, that something about it benefited you when you were back working at that place?
no, not at all. In fact, the one instance I saw with union interaction with the employees did not go in the employees' direction. I actually had
Okay.
more of a disincentive from that experience.
Yeah. Okay. Was it because it's one of those things where the people who lead the union are really just like scumbags instead of actually being good leaders, or
I
something
think
else?
for me at least, it was they never told me not to go to union meetings, but they sort of just they were just told they were there and no one ever talked to me about the union. So like I never had any interaction with anyone. I didn't even know who the shop steward was for like I was only there a couple of years, so like a year. So it just didn't they didn't do anything that I didn't know. I didn't know where to go, what to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you know if they caused you to get paid more or something like that?
I would see that's hard for me to tell because the that union had actually been around for a while.
Yeah.
And when I was working there, that was 2008, and things just I mean, people went from 40 hours to 12. And so
Yeah.
people so like
Yeah.
I mean, if they were doing something, I don't know what.
Yeah, you didn't
Um,
notice.
but that was the crash. So I mean, like everything was just going to complete hell, and yeah. So I don't know that. So I just didn't have a positive
Hmm.
at all. Like it was just a bad timing, I think.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm technically, I guess, in a union, but it's like a tech company, so it's not like one of those traditional, you have like a agreement with the company for things. It's just, some people in a group with some organizers trying to, change different poor conditions for certain types of employees and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not like the real unions that Amazon was training me to fight against back when I was working over there. It's interesting though. I'm glad to hear about that state measure though. That's really encouraging to hear that happening somewhere, because I don't see a lot of like real senior leadership type of political people doing very much pro union stuff, or really putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to that.
Bernie.
No, that seems to be a fairly wide. I sat in on a call with the rank and file rail workers talking about what might happen. This was a bit ago, but like across the board, a lot of them were just saying the leadership's totally ineffective. Leadership's not doing anything. I mean, you know everything basically, but like so that's kind of seems to be. And there were people coming in with solidarity from like teachers unions and firefighters unions, and pretty much the same sort of thing is that the leadership is just kind of they're just part of that system now, and they're just
Yep.
disconnected from rank and file.
Yeah, yeah, it's disheartening. But yeah, I guess, what are you gonna we kind of saw this example with the rail workers, even if you're, I don't know what would have happened different if they had any better leadership this time around, because it was like, hey, Congress is gonna make you go back to work no matter what y'all do. So, when you look at it that way, I can see why there's such low union power and participation in
Well,
the
and
country,
also
because they,
what I heard is that like the what is it, five major rail unions, I can't remember how many it was. It was an odd number, but they actually weren't all approaching it the same way. Some of them were taking more of a more radical approach. I think it was like two or three of them, I can't remember now, that were like, no, we're gonna spread, we're gonna actually like put our foot down, and the other ones, the leadership backed off. So that also didn't help us. There was a lot of because there
yeah,
was some it just even between leadership of because one guy was talking about talking to his boss about it, and describing how the other unions were doing it and just the language they used of like, so there was even division between that stuff. So it's, yeah.
Yep, that's yeah, it is what it is. I guess I should be happy that my ability to order things off the internet will not be disrupted. I guess that's the takeaway that I'm supposed to bring from it, but yeah, I was actually sort of just disappointed in that whole thing. Okay. Well, yeah, anybody got any cool union related stuff?
Yeah, I don't have anything to do with unions. I know so little about it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
no jobs were cool enough.
Yeah, I around our region and companies and stuff like that, it's just yeah, not very common. I think there are some countries that have a lot higher percentage of working people that are in unions and stuff like that, or it's more, normal for it to be a part of their relationship with work.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
but here
and
it's
we
definitely
we
not.
did. We had a lot big, even like 80, 90, 100 years ago. It was, I mean, we had a resurgence 100 years ago. Where it definitely seems like we're going in that same swing. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was really big in like 40s, 50s, and then it started coming down.
Yeah, yeah. I just happened to I forget how this how it came up, but the other day I was talking to somebody about this I'm gonna forget the name of it now, but there's this town in Colorado where there were like coal miners or some kind of mining workers, and they were unionizing or threatening to strike or something. This was like way back in 1914. And the company, which I wish I could remember the name of the company because it's a Today company, uh, like raised up militias that went and massacred them. I was like,
Yep.
wait, what?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Wow.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. The entire history of union work involves, I mean, like people died in Chicago to get the 8-hour workday. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's no, every
Yeah.
every every regulation, every little thing we've gotten has involved people getting killed.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Ludlow, that's the name of it. The Ludlow Massacre.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, pretty insane how they just yeah, they were able to do that. They're just like, oh, wait a minute. Here's some money. Like, go round some people up and go shoot up these people and their families and stuff like that. Like, they were killing people's kids.
Mhm.
Really, really ridiculous.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we were supposed to
Yeah.
be
If
talking about a
you
good thing, and then I brought up killing
They
kids.
kind of,
if you want to learn more about like unions and like how to unionize things like that, like I would recommend No Shortcuts by Jane
absolutely.
McAlevey. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's a
Mhm.
good book.
Yeah.
It
I didn't
is.
like when it
And I took
started talking about aliens. Just at the end. Like,
Just at the end.
yeah.
Ladies and
You know, if she
gentlemen,
did just
Jason.
turn, you know what? Honestly, there's a book that if she started talking about aliens at the end, I would discredit the aliens and I would have been inspired by the parts before it. So I'll give you that.
Nice.
Oh, there we go.
That's awesome. I'm like blushing. God,
Wow.
Luke's a lunatic right now.
Okay. I was trying to find the name of that company so that I can talk shit about them, but I can't find it.
All right.
Anyway.
I'm gonna go fix his iPad. That's what's going on.
Okay.
I won't go next.
Jason's gotta go fix a thing. The random number generator is going back into effect. 3. K.
oh,
K, you're
so
up
I just pick
next.
a
Whichever
any
one
topic.
you felt most interested or excited to tell your story for.
I don't know if it's the most exciting thing, but
Yeah.
um, I've been thinking about it and like I think it has a lot to do with cats. Like everything kind of goes back to like why it's kind of sucks goes back to capitalism, right?
Okay.
So like with Christmas, when I first came to the US, I came here when I was 6. So in Korea, back then, especially back then, Christmas was not a like a big thing, right? It wasn't really a thing, right? Um, And I'm not really sure like if they did anything at church or whatever, but like, as far as I remember, it wasn't, I don't remember anything, nothing. But when I got here, we started going to this church. It was Christmas. They had the whole Santa Claus thing. Like, right. So, like, what they did was have their parent, you wrote a letter to say, I don't know why they do this at church, but anyway, they they had the kids write a letter to Santa Claus and ask for what you want. And, this was back in the 80s, so everybody wanted the Cabbage Patch doll, right? I really wanted it. And that's what I, asked for. And then I went up there, on Christmas or Christmas Eve, whatever day it was, we, at church, Santa Claus was up there. They call all the kids. I went up there, got my present, opened it. It was this ugly clown doll, right? Like, and it wasn't even a nice clown doll. It was kind of like a flat pillow kind of a thing. Like, it was just very disappointing, right? And like, and then I don't know how I knew, but I felt like, at up until that point, I didn't know that, our parents were the ones that were buying it. And I felt this has my mom's like print all over it. That's how I felt. And I don't really know if it was her, but that's how I felt. And, it could, we didn't have money back then, so it could have been that the church just kind of bought whatever for the kids who didn't have anything. And I don't really know, right? But I just remember that disappointment, right? And then, like, so then I get older, I have my kids, and I'm like, I gotta do stuff for my kids, right? Like I'm still like playing into that like whole Christmas thing. Like I didn't have it, my husband didn't have it. Like we gotta make it. I bought all like, you know what? I just totally like lived, through them. Like when my older daughter was little, I bought all the Care Bears because Care Bears came back. Like just going back to my childhood where my kid does not care Care Bears. Like, and I bought all these Care Bears, like, just and did the whole Santa Claus thing. Like I was like, I want to make sure they have it, right? But then as time went on, like people started doing like the Easter bunny. I got, get the Easter bunny basket and, like all these things. And I was just like, this really sucks. I'm like so done with it. Like, at some point my kids were old enough where they knew, but as time went on, it's like, oh, if somebody gave you this nice gift, you feel like, oh, I have to, like that. I know you don't have to, but you start feeling that pressure, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I like, I really, really, and I think that's why I started like not really like, we still celebrate it. We do the, gifts and everything, but like, I feel this pressure every Christmas and like, it just kind of sucks. I feel like, you know, the joy of it kind of goes away because it's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel like I try to be thoughtful with my gifts, but also like that whole pressure. And I hate the whole crowds at the malls, like just all of it just kind of gets to me. And I think the thing that just topped it off for me was Elf on the Shelf, right? Because out of the blue, there was this Elf on the Shelf. And like, my daughter saw it on TV or whatever. And so she, when she was little, she mentioned it to my husband. And now he went and bought the Elf on the Shelf. I'm like, no, why did you go get it? Because I'm like, I don't want to be the one moving this thing every day. And, of course, my husband would like get ready for work and, he would forget. So now I'm scrambling to like, move this stupid Elf on the Shelf. Like, I'm done with this. So I don't know.
Wait, does everyone
But
understand how Elf on the Shelf works?
I thought Elf on the Shelf could be small also. Is it?
it is small.
Oh,
but
you
like,
you just don't want to move that thing?
I don't want to move it because it's another thing I gotta do,
No.
you know? Like,
All right.
And they're like,
I thought it kind of came out of nowhere. I don't remember that ever existing when I was a kid.
no, it's a
And just
newer
all of a sudden
thing.
everyone's like, oh yeah, Elf on the Shelf. Where did this come from? Who thought this
Yes.
idea? I don't remember any story or book growing up that this character came from. It just popped out of nowhere, and all of a sudden
Wait a
it's this
minute.
thing you gotta
Now
interact.
here's where I needed the explanation. I don't like what are these like what
So,
like
I don't
is it,
know.
kind of
Elf
makes
on the
me think
Shelf?
of a surveillance state, honestly. Like I'm like this
It looks
thing
like
is-
my
it
God.
does definitely
This is-
means.
I
That's
mean,
I don't
brilliant.
know.
like I sort of know that it's just like a thing that isn't supposed to like watch kids if they're bad, they don't get any gifts or something. Like so
I don't really know the story. I didn't read the book. I don't know what the story is about. But what happens is like this elf shows up, before Christmas, and like you're supposed to like move it into different places, and the kids are supposed to find it every day,
That's
right?
kind of
And it's
fun.
kind of like supposed to be naughty. Yeah, I guess,
Oh,
but
What's
like
what's the harm again? I'm trying to figure out what's the problem because it's corporate and blown
I
up.
thought it was I thought it was
Well-
moving K because like it's watching you, so it's like this thing that like
maybe, yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't even know the story, but now I had to deal with this elf on the shelf that I didn't want to deal with.
Wait a minute.
Totally
If you
get
don't
you.
move it, what happens?
The kids don't have to look for it.
The kid, I mean, it's kind of like Santa Claus if
Mm.
if on Christmas Day, the Santa Claus doesn't leave a gift, like they're gonna be like, there's no Santa Claus.
Oh,
Well,
I get it
if you
now.
don't like move the stupid elf, then gonna be like, this is fake, right? So now we
Oh,
gotta.
so you're pretending that the elf is really alive and moving around the house.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about that.
And then the kids like it because
I've never seen that.
Yes.
You know
Okay.
what the funny thing about like being raised Jewish and like going to Hebrew school is like when if kids start to get like excited about things they hear their Christian friends, like the Hebrew school teachers or anybody will just shut that shit down and they're just like, no, that's not real. Like, and they just will like tell you. And
Oh my
so I
God.
can remember like talking to kids. I'm like, oh, that's not like Santa's not real. That's not a thing. Your parents are buying that. And
Oh my
it's
God.
but it's so funny. So like like the kids actually believe that. And I can remember being like, you guys believe that? Like really?
My mother specifically made sure that we didn't believe that he was real because it really affected her when she grew up, when she found out, like really affected.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's the right thing, honestly, because then because then it's like my parents have been lying to me all these years, and it's like, why? Right? Like, so I feel like it's better to just be forthcoming and saying, like, yeah, Santa's like a fun thing, but like,
Mhm.
obviously, I'm gonna buy your gifts, and you can still
Yeah,
think it's a fun
that's what
thing.
my
if you
parents
want.
would do. They get we get one gift from Santa. It usually be like something for the family or something like that. And it was just, there was no illusion behind it. It was just part of the festivities.
Huh.
Yeah.
I like
I mean, like
Santa.
now I think back on it, like, I think it's just because like that whole disappointment of feeling that when you're a kid, and then you're, and then all the pressure of society saying like all this Christmas stuff, buy presents, and then it just like it got to me. I did it, and I'm like, why did I do that? Like I just fell for the whole. Like it means nothing, and it, like I
No,
fell
I
for the
feel
whole
that way with,
capitalism thing.
with my kid. This is his first Christmas, and I'm like, I don't see, even if I don't participate at all, the rest of my family will. And so that's gonna come back around to me. Why is everyone else like our in-laws celebrating this holiday, but we're not celebrating this thing? Everyone at school celebrating this holiday. Like it's gonna keep coming up. So you gotta find some way to mitigate that.
So, do you guys think that it's like psychologically damaging for a child to go through this charade? Is that what it is?
Yes.
You mean Christmas in general, or just
The-
Santa
the
Claus?
magic
exists
part of
in
it.
The magic part. Of it?
Yeah, the lying,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
The lying, right?
Yes, the line.
I mean, it.
The intentional ignorance is what is damaging.
Okay,
Huh.
but isn't it just isn't that what you're doing with your kids for a lot of the playing that you're doing?
No, that no.
When you play with your kids, aren't you like pretending to drink some tea out of this
Liar.
teacup and
Yeah, but
pretending
that's
that
using your
this baby
imagination.
shark is
That's not like,
real?
yeah.
That's
Is
not
that
telling
not the
you
same thing?
constantly that this thing that isn't. It's not like constantly telling you there's a God. Like it's
Yeah, like
you're getting them to believe in a non-entity. It's all bad
I
because
agree
it
that it's a
opens
lot
the
like
door for
God.
belief in things that aren't there that can just lead you down so many dark roads of.
Oh, it's kind of like training them to believe in insane things, kind of like that is what you mean?
You know,
Like if they can
one
believe that,
element,
they'll be more
sure.
trained to do it later with other crazy stuff. Like I'm just trying to get on the same page because I like Santa, but I understand what you're saying now. At least, like you're training your kid to believe in this entity that doesn't exist. So now they're going to be their brains kind of structured to believe in totally insane
Well,
things.
because at some point they're going to have to learn it's not that way, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
how is that change going to affect them? How long have they been believing it? How deeply do they believe in it?
It's
And
interesting.
that so like, I mean, if you've been believing it, so they've been keeping that secret and they're like 12, 13, I mean, how long until someone's got to tell them or, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
and then that impact can be very damaging.
And it probably depends on like just because every kid innately has a different personality, so it probably affects some, of course, more than others. But I think that that's like one of those shattering moments, or it can be when you realize like, well, why didn't somebody else tells me the truth, right? Like so, like there's little me going around saying Santa's not, and it's like, well, why did the Jewish girl tell me that Santa's not real, but my parents couldn't tell me the truth about that, right? And like again, it probably affects kids in a variety of different ways depending on their innate personality, but I can see where like some people might be really rocked to the core of like, this is a betrayal, and my parents that are supposed to love and trust me, now they've been lying to me all this time. And then other kids might be like, I just shrug it off and be like, oh, okay, that's not real.
I think my kids are in that, like, it wasn't traumatizing for them, so it was okay. Like, where, my daughter is like, I knew it wasn't real, but I wanted that extra present, like she tells me that, and it's like, okay, like, so it wasn't horrible, but like, I think just from me having that experience and then like falling for all this, like pressure to do that, like, I think I don't like having done that,
So
yeah.
I get the negative at the end when they find out. I'm totally with you on that. I can see how that could be a problem. But do you think there are any positives up until that point? Like, because like
I don't think intentional ignorance is ever a good thing.
Well, I mean, sure, but as a kid, you're not your brain.
Point blank.
I know, but like with Mila, for instance, I remember one year I was procrastinating getting a tree for like ever because I just procrastinate things. And finally on Christmas Eve, we were procrastinating so much that we told her that Santa was bringing the tree this year. So then I had a deadline, which was Christmas Eve. And so finally on Christmas Eve, I was like, oh, screw it. I'll just go get it. And because she'll be devastated in the morning. So I did. And and then on the way to school after the holiday was over, I noticed one of our pine trees, a really tall pine tree, the top had been broken off by winter. And I go, I wonder if Santa took it off of there. And I remember her being so happy and so excited by that. But then, like later, when she found out, what really bothered her was her dad told her, "There's no fairy, tooth fairy," and it was like, and like it was very strict about it. But when I told her about Santa, or we together did, it was actually quite a thing where she kind of found out through school and stuff, and she's like, yeah, I kind of knew it anyway, and it didn't seem traumatic at all. It seemed like that moment back then where she told everybody about the tree that Santa must have taken it. I don't know. Maybe it's just which some kids are not psychologically built for it and some are, I guess. I don't know.
No, I feel like you crafted an anecdote there that justifies instilling magic, but that doesn't. How does that have any matter across any longevity of teaching someone that this magic exists?
You make perfect
sense. On the
sense.
off chance that you can use it to your benefit?
No, you make perfect sense. I can't disagree with you. I just can't I just don't like the fact that that day wouldn't have happened because it was so magical for her.
Yeah,
Because
you
you lived in
know,
the framework of magical, so
yeah.
it makes sense to you, I guess, that it would be.
Oh, she was
For
pretty
you,
The
happy.
magical
kids
things were
do,
magical, I
don't
guess.
they?
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm thinking about this thing that my wife says because she's a pediatric occupational therapist and she's always trying to like teach parents how to talk to their kids and or train them better stuff. That's a terrible way of describing it, but close enough. Anyway, one thing that she says often is that grown-ups are logical thinkers and kids are magical thinkers. And she tries to get parents to sort of meet the kids where they are in terms of, not being so based in just sort of static logic type of thinking and rationale for things. So when they are at those like early stages of development and understanding concepts, you do sort of use this idea thinking about things in a magical way and that helps them apply things sort of in a foundational sense. And then as they get older, they kind of convert into knowing things as like facts and facts versus not and not magic and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
she'll probably watch this at some point and then we'll have a discussion about it because up until right this moment, I would have been very much in what Kesare is saying, like exactly that. But then the way that Jason describes his situation and the way that Kay describes hers as parents kind of makes me feel like, oh, well, I mean, maybe there is something to that, maybe not, maybe that's not the right way to do magical stuff, maybe it is a way, maybe it's a poorly done way because we're all, maladaptive and doing everything a poor way anyway. It's interesting to think about though, because
yeah.
we do try to use fantasy and magic and stuff like that to teach them things. Like when I'm reading the book at the end of the night about a caterpillar eating all of the freaking snacks and getting a tummy ache. It's magical in a sense, but it's supposed to build something that turns into like a real logical, factual type of thing.
Hmm.
It's interesting to think about.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I still feel like there's a difference between like I would like to talk to your wife about this actually because I would want to hear
Hmm.
her take, but I still feel like there's a difference between like magical and using imagination and like then as an adult like really doubling down and telling your kids that like this thing is real, right? Like because kids
Yeah.
magical thing like I'm the adult that like if there's a bunch of toddlers, like I love playing with toddlers, like and like little kids, I'll jump in the game. I'm like, all right, what are we playing?
Yeah.
And if they're imagining this to be something else or whatever, I'm like, great, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Like, let's go,
Right.
or like kind of like fostering that whole imagination or, like talking to them in a way that connects.
Yeah.
But I feel like the whole, like me as an adult should know, I know that Santa is not a real thing. And I know that I'm just lying.
It's also
And I
long-term
also
lying.
yeah, and also it's like,
That's
yeah,
a good
and I
point.
know that like it's not just like a one-off, like
Right.
you're like this, this cup is an ice cream cone or something, like when you're playing with a kid, right? Like that's a kind of one-off game, kind of magical type of thing. But like the Santa thing goes on for years. And then at a certain point, I feel like the kid is transitioning out of that magical thing, and they're like questioning and using logic. And then you're as a parent, well, I don't want to ruin the magic of Santa. So then you're like gaslighting them, saying like, oh no,
Yeah,
like this
but
happened because of
Yeah.
this.
but
I
there,
mean,
but people are
but
different. And what if
I would, yeah.
what if you make somebody be more artistic than they would have been, and then they grow up to be a fiction writer because of these magical moments that they remember, and yet somebody else becomes a accountant because or because I mean, I'm not saying it would happen always. Nothing happens always, but I mean, I feel like if you can excite a child's, I get the long term thing. I think I understand that. The
I
long
guess
term
you know
lie.
what? Actually, Jason, what you just reminded me of, like that I am guilty of, when we used to have Halloween in the Hood, and we would do, and my ex, which was like a big block for Halloween party for all the kids in DC neighborhood, and my ex was an actor, was actually an actor, and so every year he would get like a superhero costume, but like authentic one, and would like dress up. And so like one year he was Batman, and it was like the full on like Batman costume, and like the motorcycle thing. I mean, a legit costume. And
there's an even more interesting story to this costume, isn't there?
like, but some of the no, there is not. but some of these kid, like some of the like little kid, like something that we didn't actually factor in, you know, like was that like you had kids of all different ages attending, and you know, and some of the kids like really thought that he did Batman one year, he did Captain America, but like the kids really thought that like Batman came to their hood,
right?
You know, and which was like kind of what, like we didn't intentionally like try to mislead them, but like some of the little ones for like days were like looking for Batman. Like where's Batman?
Oh,
and which then I was like, oh no, like what did we, but what was interesting is like the older kids that, you know, knew, they would say to me, because I would ask the kids for feedback for the next year, and they would say to me, oh, we know that Mr. Aaron, you know, we know that he's playing these characters, but we like it. And you know, they actually got mad at me because I hired somebody else to be Spider-Man and he was bad at it. And they got mad because he wasn't an actor. And
wow.
So it was interesting that like even the ones that like they're like, oh yeah, we knew who it was, but we got into it because he was playing the character. And but yeah, it was like kind of an interesting phenomena. And so if they asked, we weren't going to like lie to them and say, you know, no, that is really Batman. You know, it's like, I'll tell you. But some of the parents like didn't want to tell their kids that that Batman wasn't really there because they didn't want to ruin the magic. And so I was kind of in the camp of like, that's your kid. You know, you're the parent, however you want to handle that. But it was kind of like a weird, like Santa-esque phenomena that we didn't intend to create.
So, well, okay. So for the folks who are like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this Santa Claus stuff, would you at least agree that we're talking about an issue of just the degrees of fibbing being done to the kids? Because I don't know how parents survive having, I mean, I don't have this problem yet because he can't talk. But how do parents get out or survive trying to explain a whole bunch of complicated things to, you know, little mofos who have no context, and sometimes you don't have enough time to explain everything to them in a logical way that they can understand. You have to do some amount of BSing them. What we're really talking about is how extreme the BS is what it seems like to me.
I never BS'd Mila. I mean, other than Santa, but like I would never just go just because, or I always told her reasons, even when she was really little. She probably didn't understand what I was talking about, but I never wanted to lie about stuff like that. But now I feel bad about Santa a little bit, but
yeah, maybe you should. Yeah, maybe you should feel terrible. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think we have to go extreme, you know, like if you want to do the whole Santa thing, you know, just like do it a little bit, but like, you know, don't sit there if they're like, oh, is it fake? Then yeah, it's fun. You know, like you could just kind of go like that instead of like ongoing, like, no, it's real.
I don't think you should use it as a negative.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not good, Santa won't come. I think that is wrong. That stuff. Like,
I do agree with that.
that
Like,
is
it's kind of
horrible.
like some parents who are like, if you're bad, I'm gonna call the cops. You know, like I'm gonna call the police. Like, don't do that. You know, it's kind of like
Yes.
that whole thing of like, oh, if you're bad, Santa's gonna do, not breathe. Like,
Yeah.
don't
My
go there like
grandmother
that.
told
I
me
mean,
if I went in the room that kids weren't supposed to be in, that the boogeyman was going to get me, and I was little, and I was petrified of that room.
like,
Mhm.
Not cool.
Yeah. So it's okay if you're like, if you're bad, I'm not gonna get you anything. It's just bad if you're
I
like, hey,
think
if
that's
you're
just normal.
bad, Santa's gonna ignore you.
Well, I mean,
what?
Once you start acting like that fictional character is determining,
Right. Yeah.
based
Like it's
off
no
their
it's
action,
no
it's like
problem if you're
they're
like,
acting as
hey,
the
yeah,
moral police of your actions.
right.
I don't know. I
They
don't
Like you're
think
like,
that.
stop touching that, or I'm not gonna
Yeah.
get
I don't
you
think you
a
should.
transformer for Christmas.
No, I don't agree with that either. I don't think you should
No.
blackmail or bargain or negotiate like that. I think they
Mhm.
should be separate. I think you should deal with myself. I'm not an expert, but I always felt like dealing with the behavior and trying to figure it out is better than causing something in the future that you already promised them or something. Now, you might say something like, listen, you need to calm down, go to your room, and chill out for a bit because you're totally out of control. Maybe, I don't know. I never did that either because Mila was so good. Maybe that's my problem. Mila was just really good. She was just never had. She was just a wonderful kid. Maybe that's what I never dealt with like a brat
Mhm.
or someone that would
Okay.
act up and go crazy. Maybe
Yeah,
so
because
maybe I'm not qualified for this.
yeah, I mean, I figure, the Santa thing is like maybe a life lesson. It's sort of like
Rite of passage.
I can tell you some stuff that's not true, and then you could have your world shattered when you find out that it's not true. Or it could just be like here's like a fantastic story that I use in order to keep you in line or keep you behaving or whatever. And if that's the way that people intend it, then yeah, it's just like a manipulative way
Yeah.
of, just doing discipline or whatever.
Yeah, kids shouldn't feel like you're manipulating them. I think that's bad. That's like mistrust. They should trust you pretty much perfectly, which now is the Santa thing is getting on my brain now.
We're
Well,
ruining Jason's Christmas
yeah,
now.
we've broken Jason's holiday spirit, which is funny. I wanted to talk about how Jason was pro
Desiree.
Christmas and nobody else was. Maybe Jason's
No,
not pro Christmas anymore either because we destroyed his Santa complex.
well, Luke is autistic, so I probably won't ever have to deal with the is there or isn't there Santa. Like he doesn't know there's presents in under that wrapping paper. He just thinks it's pretty. So I probably won't have to deal with it ever, to be honest. But I still think Christmas. I still love that feeling of Christmas. I know, especially now this year because I feel much freer for lots of reasons, and less anxiety. um, but I don't know. I think it's fun. I do agree though that that logic and trust and honesty is the best. But I don't know if kids. I like what you said about Alex, but what your wife might say because I think that's true that kids have their brains are very magical or oriented. They're not logical at that time, and I think it's like you're like massaging like a muscle almost. But
Mhm.
long-term lie, I don't know. That's something too. I'm thinking too much now. You guys are wrecking Christmas.
Mission accomplished.
I do agree with Kay about the capitalism crap at the beginning that you said. I was dead on board with that bullshit
No,
stuff.
No, I
think
totally
it
agree with that
is.
too. I actually like the original, like more pagan holiday that Christmas is based off of. I find that far more interesting than whatever this nonsense is now, where it's the coldest day of the year. Everyone gets together in one place. They each bring some food because you don't have much left, and you all get to share a meal and a good time. Like that's something interesting. Everything
Yeah.
after that,
It's community
Saint Nick
building.
and trees and ornaments and gifts.
What's the original one? I thought the original one was people, yeah, they just had like a big banquet and then like an orgy or whatever.
Did they get drunk?
Really?
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, it's cold. Of course
Yeah.
they get drunk.
Yeah. I did with my adult friends for years. We used to do drunk Christmas, and now that was a great Christmas.
Okay.
because none of us, we all had sworn off holidays, so it was like a group of us that like were like we're not really doing holidays at all. And so we would go to we'd go to like a Chinese restaurant or what, and it was drunk Christmas, and it was great. It was magical, indeed.
Drunk Christmas.
Magical.
Magical.
Yes. Chinese restaurant. You get drunk at a Chinese restaurant?
Oh yes, they make a volcano, and
Oh,
damn.
Sake.
I've been to Chinese restaurant Christmas get-togethers, but we never drank at them.
you were missing out.
We have a
Yeah.
comment. Tig Black. That's none of you guys, right?
I
Said
don't think so.
War on Christmas 1.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, this is like a perfect way to transition into the conversation about why people don't like Christmas. Because we're like half having that conversation anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Jason talked about liking Christmas.
I
I'm
still do.
wondering why people aren't down for Christmas.
I think we know now.
Because Santa was a lie.
Because
I
of the
mean,
capitalism and lies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
is-
is, yeah.
well, is it from a
Yeah.
Also, childhood trauma. That'll kill any family holiday for you.
Right. Those are the two things for me. It's like, well, the reason that I don't like Christmas is because of childhood trauma. But if I had not had the childhood trauma, then I would now not like Christmas because of capitalism. But I would have liked it
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. My
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing to think about. It's kind of like well, I guess if you don't like it because of the trauma, then you haven't overcome the trauma in order to just like enjoy something that's supposed to be a good thing. Or maybe you just shouldn't like the thing.
I
Interesting
feel
to think
like
about.
for once the trauma, like once you process the trauma, then you like the whole anti-capitalism kicked it, and then you're like, well, this is just disgusting. Like, so I feel like it just kind of
Christmas is disgusting.
it shifted from like, oh, like this is a really bad experience, as a kid, to then like then you process, you reevaluate, and then you look and you're like, this is just consuming everything. It's like gross and like, yeah, I'm like, nope, I don't want that. And then when you get older and you're, especially if you're a woman, and even if you don't have kids, like if you're, like I was always the one that had to wrap the gifts or and like do all the stuff, even though I didn't have children. I was doing it for like my younger brothers or for whatever ex's family. And so you're the one that has to make Christmas come out of your ass, or whatever holiday. And then you're like,
Quote of the night.
and then you're like, I don't like this either, and it's
Yeah.
like, can't we all just appreciate each other's company or something, and like not have to buy like 50 million gifts and wrap them and like do
Mhm.
yeah. And so I like snapped one year. I told my friend, I'm like, you all are old enough, like that's it, no more holidays. Like,
No more
and I
holidays.
just, like, I snapped on my ex's family, like, because I was doing Christmas and Hanukkah, and like, and I was just like,
You guys
my
are like
that's
the
it.
villain in Christmas movies.
I was like,
Yeah.
you all are done.
Yeah.
And but it was such a like relief. And then like, so then like, and I still don't really do anything at all for help. And it's so freeing. Like, and people will ask me, at work, or they'll go, oh, what are you gonna do for the holidays? And I'm like, nothing. And it's gonna be beautiful. And it always is, because it's like relaxing and like
Rena,
not
tonight you will be visited
stressful.
by 3 ghosts.
But yeah, I kind of was like, when I like like after doing that for so many years, like like cooking and gift wrapping and going to, oh my God, getting so many gifts for so many people. I was like, this is no, why are we doing this?
Oh,
But
no.
and I know it's not just like, that's not just me. I just probably was
Yeah.
one of the few that like actually snapped and stopped, right? Like, but when you talk to a lot of people and a lot of women, they're under a huge amount of stress, for having to like take on all of these duties. And like, yeah, because even when I would talk to people, some of the people that I managed in my past job, like some people would talk about how they were stressed about doing these things, for the holidays. And I'd always go, well, just, you know, you have a choice. If it makes you miserable, you don't have to do it. Like free yourself. Like if it makes you happy and you love it, great, do it. You know, do it and enjoy it. But I think like the takeaway is if the thing is actively making you miserable, like make a choice to do something different.
And like to be clear, like you know, when you know, I like to give gifts like to make the person feel special, like, you know, like especially like for their birthday or, you know, some special occasion. But I think it's that pressure of Christmas, that whole commercialization, you know, like that, you know, like right after Thanksgiving and even before Thanksgiving, Christmas trees are up and you're like, oh my God, like I haven't, you know, even done anything yet. And like, you know, you start feeling that pressure and, you know, like right after Thanksgiving, there's the whole Black Friday thing. And, you know, like when I started seeing those scenes of people getting trampled at like Walmart, you know, I thought that was crazy. And I thought it was like, I didn't realize it's been going on for years where, you know, like going back to the 80s, I saw a video of people like basically trampling people over to get Cabbage Patch dolls, right? I'm like, oh my God, it's been going on like way longer than I thought. And it's just, I hate all that. I think it's just crazy, you know, like I saw that video of those people trying to get those Cabbage Patch dolls and this lady was like going crazy, like, what am I going to tell my kid when there's no Cabbage Patch doll in you know, Santa or like, you know, Christmas morning? I'm like, oh my God, that is so crazy, you know, like they're, you know, like I don't know what you told
That's
them,
where
but
you
like
yell, there's no Santa right at that moment.
So wait, so do you think it's there's something unnatural about the way that people act about Christmas with all of the craziness trying to get the best thing and all of that, or would people just do that anyway?
It's hyped
no,
big
I
time
think
by
we've been like
commercials.
brainwashed to do that, like brainwashed to think that and what like have it like that need to do that, you know. I don't like I feel like we've been brainwashed to do, you know, like it's the whole like it's everything, you know, even like, you know, like Easter with the whole Easter bunny, you know, like where
Don't get
the
me
heck did that
started
come
with the Easter
from?
Bunny.
You know, I mean, like Easter egg hunt is fun, you know, like fun for the kids, but
they make it
where did that?
inescapable. I mean, that's really kind of
Yeah,
like, because if I don't believe any of that nonsense, I still got to listen to that music everywhere I go. I mean, I've worked so many retail jobs.
Yes.
I cannot stand any of those songs, any of them, because there's so many of them are the same, or
Silent
there's
Night's
slight
kinda
variations, or it doesn't even freaking matter. They're all bad. But at the same time, like if I don't even believe that, I still got to listen to them talk about the same stupid stuff. Like you can't avoid the holiday. They make it ubiquitous with just the season when it's not. It's something like put upon it.
It's interesting because this sounds a little bit like a lot of right wingers, how when they talk about things that they don't want to hear and then they get mad and try to cancel it. It's interesting. Like pronouns. I mean,
if we could cancel Christmas, I mean, if that's
cancel Christmas.
I'm the war on Christmas. I have no qualms about this.
See, I'm more like, I think it should be every 3 years. I'm the moderate here.
I don't think everyone else gets to tell me what a holiday is.
But
I don't think that your little belief in a tree and a god and some Jesus manger thing has any bearing on my life. I don't need to listen to music everywhere I go.
I cannot believe I found people more extreme about holidays than me.
I have to tell you guys a funny story. Speaking about working retail on Christmas, that Kesare, I feel like you'll appreciate. So I used to work in the mall like years ago. The mall it's been since demolished, but
did you demolish it?
I wish actually. I hated working in the mall. But I worked at a cell phone kiosk, so I was like in the middle of the mall and like. And it was a cell phone accessory kiosk. And so I like every year, like with the the Christmas stuff, like the kiosks were decorated, the music was blasting, and then they opened up a Christmas store like right across from me, and there was a dancing Santa like every time somebody walked by, and it just was like
Taunting you.
I already hated hearing all of this stuff, so it was like slowly driving me mad. And so the way that I started coping with it was every day when I would leave in the evening, I would close up, I would slowly dismantle the mall Christmas display. So each day I would take something with me.
Wow.
Oh, I love it so much.
Our jizzle.
And I was just like it was just like how I was dealing with that rage of like having to be in that space
Rage.
Yep.
all day.
Rena
with those-
rage.
yeah, like with those. But yeah, and what they actually had a moving raccoon, and one night it was like part of the Christmas display for some reason at the mall, and I scored that. And
Scored it.
Oh my god.
that was a big get.
For the freak.
Oh, that mall's coming after you, Rena.
Oh,
They're like, that's where
they've
the
been
raccoon went.
Moving
they've
raccoon.
been long demolished, so it's fine that I tell the story.
I don't know how fine it is for other reasons, but wow, you
I
must
also
be like
feel
a
like-
really awesome person to date. Like you said, like nobody, they don't have to worry about anything. Like, oh, I didn't get you a Christmas gift. I didn't get you. Is anniversary? Is that something like?
I don't
She's like,
really
it's
do
fine.
that.
I stole
That's
this
awesome.
moving raccoon from the mall, so we can just enjoy this.
That's like
Yes,
a dream.
Because I also feel like the same way about like anniversary and like Valentine's Day. I don't really do that
Wow.
because I'm like, if you can't like be respectful and
Mhm.
like have a good rapport with somebody like year round, then I'm like, what is the point of these silly
I
like,
agree.
1 or 2 days? Like right now, I will do people's birthdays. Like I still like I have childhood friends that I'll still send them something on their birthday just because I'm like, oh, I want to let you know I'm thinking of you on your birthday.
Desiree, birthdays, are they all right? You're mute.
I mean,
Okay.
I didn't choose to be born, so
Oh man.
All right,
Oh
he's more
shit.
hardcore.
I mean, what is one rotation around the sun mean?
I'm with
It
you,
means
but
nothing. It's
funny.
totally arbitrary.
It's true, but like for me, I think about birthdays like especially as adults, like we get bills in the mail, like we don't get anything fun, So I feel like it's just a nice way to tell a friend that like you don't get to connect with friends as often, especially they're like childhood friends that are across the country. To me, it's like a nice way to say, hey, I'm thinking about you, happy birthday.
It'd mean more if you did it on a different day.
Well,
Strong
sometimes
point.
I have friends that I send postcards to, or like, if I'm on a trip or something, I might just like randomly, and they'll send me something too. So I do that sometimes.
Boy, holiday bash is definitely taking on a totally new meaning than I
Oh,
originally
man.
thought.
We're just
We're
bashing
bashing
holidays.
No, I thought that was the reason we named it that.
I-
Actually,
Yeah, I guess so.
I thought it was.
Oh, dang, I think you're
I
right.
thought it was very clearly established as soon as we decided to do this that shit talking about holidays was going to at least be a significant component of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's fantastic.
yeah, this is very interesting.
This is my
people
favorite
don't like-
interview. My favorite
people
show
don't
so
like
far.
Christmas. People don't like Christmas. People don't like birthdays.
There's nothing inherently bad about birthdays. I don't want to mistake like absolutely any celebrations of another person or in any way you're just inherently invalid or bad. Just like determining the worth of a day shouldn't be based on its tradition or some other element besides the significance of the person.
What about like history? Like, what about 9/11 being brought up every year? Never forget. How do you feel?
I don't. What am I forgetting? Who remembers? I mean, everyone who's born after it isn't going to remember it, so who cares?
Okay.
Well,
I don't understand.
maybe a different holiday like Memorial Day.
What does Memorial Day celebrate?
Memorial Day is to commemorate
I'm
people
with you.
who have died in service to the country and
No,
military.
I
basically.
don't. I mean, like, I don't want an army or a navy, or I didn't get to pick any of that stuff. I don't get a choice in any of those matters. I mean,
Are
I,
you pro any holidays?
I mean, I'm pro celebrations of life, daily. Like, I don't know,
Okay.
those sorts of things. I don't know. I've far
Let
more
me ask you this.
celebrating
Would
the
we be
moment
better
than
off?
necessarily any sort of temporal significance.
Yeah.
We
Would the
lost Kay.
culture be better off if people didn't do the holiday things that they do now?
I think there would I mean, it's about how we celebrate life. I mean, and it's the different ways that we do it. If
Yeah,
someone
like a
does that
birthday,
by
somebody
how
would
they
say
live
that.
their day-to-day life, as opposed to just spending, you know, a certain day celebrating something. I don't know. I mean, like, even like me
I
and
mean, it's
my
worth
wife,
thinking
we've
about.
never gotten anniversary gifts for each other. Just
Okay.
like every year we're like, do you want it? Nah. And it doesn't really matter because we really don't need to. It's not
So you don't
what
do anything on that day? You don't even talk about it? You don't
no.
even do like a check-in or whatever?
We check in every single day. I mean, we talk all the time. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's just a day. I mean, we might try just so that we can, you know, be like, well, we're actually going to take some time, but nah, it doesn't really. I don't think we've never given gifts. I don't know if we've done anything.
Okay. How do you decide? I mean, I don't want you to give away all your secrets in case she sees this, but how do you decide when to do anything particularly special? Or like, how do you make sure that you have some mechanism to acknowledge things that sometimes get lost or taken for granted over the course of a living year?
That's fascinating. Well, I don't know. I think it comes up with just the constant amount of checking in we do. I don't know. We're always just trying to pay attention to where the other person's at. So that usually comes with that, because a lot of the times the little extra we give is more support, because we rely on that support from each other a lot, and so sometimes that just that's enough, I guess.
Okay. It's an interesting thing to think about because it's kind of like I don't know. Some holidays I look at them as kind of like a reminder. Like I put a reminder for myself on a calendar to call my mom or something like that. Some of the holidays kind of feel like that to me, where it's just like a reminder of this thing that maybe I care about. And maybe it's useful for that purpose. But I'm trying to think, without that thing, would I remember to be mindful of all of these different things? Would I remember that these things matter to other people? I don't know. Plus, there might be a part of it that's sort of just like humans are a social creature, and as a social creature, you build traditions and rituals and things like that. So
Yep.
they will always kind of naturally appear because of our desire to have these rituals and cultural, events like that. But yeah, maybe it's just hard to take them seriously for what they are because we apply uh this great deal of pressure and showmanship and all of that to these things when really they are maybe just supposed to be reminders of certain things. It's interesting to think about. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's a tough
next year's
subject.
Christmas bash is next year's Christmas bash is gonna be interesting because we'll probably have this conversation all the way over again right from the beginning of it, and then
Next year it will be drunk Christmas.
Oh, you
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah, or
see me
maybe-
drunk Christmas. Holy Christ.
We'll just have it drunk. It'll be a different conversation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm such a lightweight. The whole thing would
Oh.
crash. I'd be like,
Jason will have
yeah.
half a beer, and
I believe you, Jason.
I don't drink, so when I do, it's like it's really
Wow.
fast.
To have like somebody else engineer this.
Once
or
it's
we
on
won't
and going,
survive.
it's fine. I guess.
Yeah.
Who knows what I would do? I don't know. I'm really nuts when I drink. And when I say drink, I mean like half a Guinness. Like nuts out of my mind.
What?
Yeah. I know some of it is psychological because I'm feeling this feeling that coming on, and I lean into it. I know that's true, but man, if I drink more, oh yikes!
You're just yeah.
I just
You're
laugh.
such a
I don't
You're such a
stop.
genuine, authentic person that yeah, as soon as you start getting tips, you're just wasted or whatever.
Yeah.
You're
It's
so
it's
pure.
weird. I'm pure.
Your soul and your spirit are so pure.
Yeah, that's. Thank you for being the first person ever to say that.
You have half a Guinness. The world gets all of you.
It might be my chemistry. I mean, my chemistry is pretty different. I mean, anyone that has ADHD and takes Adderall has different chemistry than the people that don't. Very much so. I mean,
Okay.
I know people, if you gave them Adderall, they'd be off the wall. I calm down, which is why right now Adderall's
Wait,
worn
people
off.
go off the wall for Adderall? I thought that was what you do when you need to write a paper or whatever.
Yeah, because it hypes you up, makes you all like super focused. But I don't. I get for me,
Oh.
it's like a sedative. It's like calms
Okay.
me down.
And that doesn't help you focus? Maybe that's what you need to
Mm,
focus.
No, it helps me not be distracted, which sounds like the same thing, but it's not.
Okay.
Because when I'm not on Adderall, which is close to now, my it's probably wearing off, and I just constant randomness always, like totally, and I'm not as bad as other
So
people.
you would write a paper better.
No, I'd get distracted only if I liked it. Like when I'm not on Adderall, I can write a whole screenplay in like 4 or 5 days because
Okay.
I hyper focus on it, and I don't want to go to the bathroom. I don't want to go eat. I don't want everyone to leave me alone. If someone comes in the room, I'm pissed. Like it's. But if I don't like something, I can't pay attention to it at all. But Adderall
Ah,
calms both of those, so I'm more in the
Yep.
middle.
Okay.
yep. So when you're writing a paper, you generally don't like to write a paper, like if you're doing
Yeah.
it for like a class or something.
I hate that.
Kids don't take Adderall to write your papers.
Oh no! If you don't have ADHD, Adderall will help you because you'll help you stay up all night. And
No,
Oh my
Jason,
God.
Don't advertise that.
Jason,
That's not
they
what
all
we're
know
advocating.
it. They all know it. Who doesn't know
I'm
that?
trying to tell the children, don't take Adderall just because we're saying it's awesome for
I'm
your
just being
papers.
honest about Adderall and Santa.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's
it's also habit forming if you are not.
That's true.
If you do not have ADHD and you do not need it to help you
Oh,
for a
yep.
medical purpose, it can be very habit forming.
That's
So
true.
There you go.
We'll put that disclaimer
Yeah,
on there.
Good. Okay.
I'm out of Adderall actually. Hope I get a delivery. I get a delivery tomorrow on site.
Jason's off his meds.
Just because it's
Telling the
wore off. I
kids.
took mine today, but it was like at 5 a.m, so it's kind of.
Okay.
That's why
I
I'm
forget
still
how we
talking.
started talking about Adderall.
I'm still going. Shh.
How did we? Okay. I don't remember how we got to talking about Adderall.
Me.
I'm trying to.
Randomly said it.
Right. You just threw out the word
Yes.
Adderall and we kind of rolled with it
Yeah.
from there.
Oh God, it had to be something more complicated. Anyway. Okay. Drunk Christmas.
Oh, I said
Yeah, I
chemistry.
really
My
don't
bodily chemistry is different, and then I went into Adderall.
Okay, but that
Because
why
of-
would your body chemistry?
Well,
come up,
I'm
though?
making a very uneducated
Oh, we were
assumption
talking about drinking.
that drinking,
Drinking.
my body chemistry might metabolize alcohol differently, but I don't really know that. I'm just making that shit up. And I
Okay.
used Adderall as a possible reason why it might happen, but there's no science there. I don't know anything about it really.
Okay.
Yeah, it was useless
Yeah,
conversation.
Okay, but yeah, drinking is a good way to improve your Christmas. Adderall is a good way to improve your essay scores. Are we done with this segment?
Yes.
Okay. I think I did have I had a story. The story that I was going to talk about a bad Christmas moment had to do with drinking on Christmas. But it was more because we had promised this group of kids, like my sister's kids, that we would go skating the next day. So everybody was all super hungover when we went to go skating the next morning. And like my wife was so hungover that we had to stop to let her throw up on the way to the skating rink.
Oh no.
And then we were at the skating rink. She was in the bathroom throwing up, and some random person who didn't know our group walked up and was like, "That lady that y'all came with is throwing up in the bathroom." Like we had to go check on her.
Oh God.
And we ended up leaving. Yeah, we ended up leaving early uh because yeah, like it was so horrible. But yeah, drinking on Christmas is only good if you don't promise children you'll do something the next morning.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
good takeaway there.
I think sangria was the culprit,
I think that's
Which
pretty
is
much
really
universal for
asking for trouble with the sweet stuff.
if you drink the night before, you're not going to keep your promises the next day. In general, like
Yeah, I guess so.
the
There-
kids are innocent.
There are some things that are, I mean, doing a thing with little kids makes it so that if you're going through anything negative, it's even harder. There's some stuff that you could do with a hangover, and it's like, okay, but dealing with little kids trying to skate and, enjoy life while you're just barely surviving that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've only had one hangover in my life.
Wow.
It was awful.
Okay.
It was an awesome hangover. Is that
That's
what you
not
said?
a lot. I thought he said awful.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you said?
I've only had one.
Right.
And it was awful.
And you said it was awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It was horrible. And
Okay.
actually, it's funny because up until this point, I wasn't sure I wasn't sure which one to do. But you just changed one of my worst holidays because that happened on Halloween. That's funny.
Your hangover happened on Halloween.
Well, the drinking did.
Okay. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Halloween is definitely a time for drinking and bad ending drinking stories. At least it was for me. But
Well, Halloween
good
was
time, too.
wonderful. It was the next day that was terrible, but the Halloween was amazing. It's kind of a double. Wow, what a great story. That's the one I'm going to tell when I get to it.
yeah. Would you well, I take it you like Halloween then.
Yeah, I totally love.
I take it Kesare does not like Halloween.
I bet he
How
does.
For a
how,
number
how
of
does everyone
reasons.
feel about it?
Well, my
For a
first
number of
two,
reasons.
my first job was at a Halloween store. I've worked at a couple of them,
Okay.
so I'm just never gonna like that holiday to begin with.
What's uniquely bad about that, or is it just regular retail bad?
The just the absolute cost on these sorts of things. It's so ridiculous, the amount of like just crap related with it, and more crap you can make related with it, and the costs, like I mean, it kind of comes back to capitalism, but so much of it is just based around buying temporary things that I just really don't get behind it. Like getting candy and stuff. I mean, I get the whole idea of that sort of thing. But like there's just so much temporary. You're just buying all this stuff for once. It just seems a little much.
Also, back to the whole pagan holiday thing. That
Well, what about what about you, Kay and Rena? What are your feelings on Halloween?
I mean, okay, so I mean, it's fun. It's like I don't really know too much about the history behind Halloween, but like it's fun to get dressed up. I think, the kids don't really think about anything except dressing up and, getting candy. It's just fun for them. I think it's fine. It's just, yeah, like what Kesare said, like the costumes are really expensive. It's You go to the spirit store and it's crap and it's like $40, $50. You're just like,
Yep.
and then they don't ever wear it again. And like, you know, like I would rather go back to like make your own costume kind of thing, put something together that you can, like separately wear again or whatever, that would be better. But yeah, like I don't, it's like the whole capitalism thing, like they're selling crap, you know, that you're going to wear once, and, you know, because next year they're not going to want to wear the same thing, you know.
Because a
And
different
then,
movie will been out by then. So
yeah.
it'll be a different set of characters that everybody wants to be, or it'll be a different, there'll be some holdovers, but it's always like, that's why it's such flimsy, crappy material, because it's just going straight in the garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a difference between where I see it's like everything you guys are saying is interesting, but then I think to myself, now I realize there's a difference between kid Halloween and adult Halloween, because
that really exploded in the last like 20 years. That wasn't really a big thing. I remember there
I'm a
was some
big fan.
stories about it, and how like there was just this ramp up of it becoming more of an adult holiday than it was when I was a kid, definitely. But,
Yeah,
Mhm.
had some good
Yeah,
times.
that's true. I don't remember.
yeah. But
You
I
know,
mean,
like
every
when-
holiday looks for a new market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know if. Oh, go ahead, Rita.
So my father's girlfriend owns a costume shop. So for the past like several years, I've been able to wear costumes for free. So
Nice.
so that's been fun. And she also would, like, when we used to do the big Halloween celebration in the neighborhood, she would donate like whatever was in the warehouse, like surplus costumes. So I get like a whole bunch of costumes and I would give them to the kids for free, and then I would like make up a game. So like I made up a costume race, and so there was like a relay game, and the kids like there'd be 5 different bags of assorted items, and the kids had to like run and put together a costume, strike a pose, whatever, and whoever got done first, was the winner or whatever. So I used to do like creative stuff like that, and not make it like, we did pumpkin carving and face painting, and like, so I kind of made it like a carnival for the kids, and like that was fun. But like for myself, I'm kind of like indifferent to it, like if left to my own devices, like I won't really do anything. But it was fun to like create that event for kids that was relatively low budget. I mean, and I got donations from like coworkers and community members and stuff.
Okay, I thought all this like Halloween becoming big was yeah, I thought it was just because I was moving to places where people like Halloween a lot, but that has just become generally a bigger adult thing randomly like the past 10, 20 years. Yeah, it's I mean, at this point when Halloween comes around, the neighborhood is decorated like it's Christmas almost. People have so much shit in their yards and on their houses and stuff like that. I was very surprised to see that.
Now in like where I live in like LA, and then like in West Hollywood, like Halloween is like a religious holiday for all the performers and everything here. So I actually like to walk around as an adult and look at people's costumes, because people will go all out, and so I like to crowd watch. And then usually every year I will walk around and try to find Waldo in real life, because somebody is always dressed up as Waldo, and you never know where you're going to find him in the neighborhood on Halloween. So I will just go out and like, I'm gonna go find Waldo. One year I found 5 Waldos, and I was like high-fiving.
Oh my
Wow.
I found so many Waldos. Like, there was drinking involved in that Halloween.
Yeah, there must have been.
I would not be interfacing with people in that way.
Yeah, 1, there's too many Waldos. 2, Rena's interacting with anyone. So yeah, there must be heavy drinking happening. Are you so okay? What if you have to like go to or like have you all ever been to like a work holiday party or anything like that?
Yeah.
When I worked in the office, it was kind of like banned. That was not like,
I
I
like
worked
that
for a
outfit.
really well, they were pretty conservative, and they're like that was not a thing that you could do there. Even
Halloween
our
or just
casual
parties in general?
just the whole Halloween thing. It was
Halloween.
like
Wow.
yeah. Like, like some places they have costume. It's like, not that I would have wanted to like dress up to go to work, but like, it was not a thing. Yeah.
Huh.
Even our casual Fridays were not very casual.
Casual
You know, they had
Fridays.
rules about our casual Friday, you know?
That's okay. You had a. I don't think I've ever had a job that really had a casual Fridays thing. Is that really more common? What was that like for your thing?
I mean, that was a long time ago, so probably it's different now, especially like
Mm,
when I see like tech companies, like, because,
Mhm.
you know, dressing really casual, it's,
yeah,
just because I was used to that very conservative kind of workplace, like,
yeah.
it's kind of shocking, like, but I'm like really jealous. I'm like, I wish I worked for a tech company when I was working, for a company, because like I hated getting dressed up for work,
Wow.
and it was business
Hmm.
casual, but it still sucked,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, that's it definitely is nice when there's no dress code thing at all. Because you have a lot, well, maybe not a lot, but at least a little bit less to think about. Um, or if you wear uniforms, like when I was in the army, you didn't
Hmm.
really have to pick anything out. You just had to,
Did they have casual
keep doing the
Friday?
same maintenance. Well, I was thinking about it, and I do think that I've been in situations where you would have to, for most of the days, wear your regular kind of dressy looking uniform, but then you could wear your like combat uniform on Friday.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like a casual Friday thing because it's much more comfortable to wear your combat uniform.
Hmm.
So I guess I have seen kind of a similar thing. I don't know if it counts. I don't know.
I've never really had a job where they kind of require you to do anything like that, so every day was casual Friday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's obviously it's less work on you if you don't have to frickin' dress or put on some frickin' uncomfortable stuff and then drive to work and worry about it getting wrinkled and messed up. But yeah, some people complain about how terrible some people look coming into the office too. I've definitely had people at work, or I've heard people in certain circles at work like complain that some people take the no dress code a little bit too extreme, and
Hmm.
they're not even wearing clean clothes and shit like that. It's like, hey, this is left the dress code area and bled into the basic manners of going around people area.
How do they
Uh,
know that their clothes are not like? Do they smell or they have dirt on
yeah,
them?
like people stink. Yeah, or like they'll, have stains, or person will go like do some CrossFit or whatever and then come just be sitting in the meeting next to you all
Oh,
sweaty.
wow.
It can get bad if it gets too out of control. It can be annoying.
Wow.
It's probably nowadays there's way less emphasis because so many people are working from home and all of that thing, but
Mhm.
back when you were coming into the office 5 days a week, yeah, you would know pretty soon like who was the stinky, person in the area. And since they do that whole like open floor concept where nobody has an office, everybody's just in a desk near the other desks, you can't really get away from it if they're near you, so it sucks.
Yeah. This
Mm.
kind of reminds me of when I went to college. Like, our school didn't have a dress code,
Yeah.
and people would, like, just sometimes not wear clothes, and
What?
sometimes, like, or like they would,
Clarify.
a lot of people don't wear shoes, so they would
Oh,
have like nasty, dirty feet, and then you would sit in class, and then this dirty foot would be like, they would put their feet up, and you're like next to this nasty foot. Like,
what?
what is
This is
this?
like a
Oh
TV show
no.
or something. This is like really happening to
This
people in real life.
Oh God, I
It
remember
happened
college
to
like that.
me.
Oh, of course
Yeah.
I don't know. I went to West Point. I have no idea
Yeah.
what real college is like, so ignore my questions.
Yeah. Well, all your classes in the morning, almost everyone's wearing pajamas. That's what it was. That's what
Mhm.
it was like. They just just walk in with your
Yeah,
PJs on.
that sounds great.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be better. Yeah, we would have to
West Point, eh?
yeah, we'd have to all get in formation and we would get in formation, do roll call, and then march to breakfast. And then after breakfast, then you start, going to class and stuff like that. So, but everyone's in uniform and all that. So it's
Well, you'll
way different.
appreciate this, Alex. I have actually some past military experience. I was in Civil Air Patrol.
Oh God.
And I knew I was there long enough to get the free gear, and I could not deal with the fact that a kid 5 years younger than I was and much shorter was yelling at me like a drill sergeant. And I was just like, I told my friend Todd, who's he loves the military. He went on to do more. I was
Okay.
like, I'm not going to take orders from a kid. I'm not going to take orders from anyone. I don't deal with that.
Yeah.
You must respect me. You earn respect, and then I'll be kind to you, and we can interact. But you're not my leader, my boss, my master. That's my Qui-Gon Doe 6 months. Master. Like what? I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, it's not for everybody. Really, it's probably not for anyone. It's probably a better way to put it. But yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, I was in junior ROTC, so that's pretty similar.
Mm,
Yeah,
wow. Yeah,
it's
I'm not
nice.
built for it at all.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you really missed out on anything. But yeah, the point is that I never got the seeing people in PJs or no shoes at college class because everybody's in uniform all the time.
So I want to do the 30-minute warning.
Yeah, we're at the the last 30 minutes, which we wanted to reserve to talk about some show reflection stuff. So if anybody has anything left to say about how much they hate Christmas or being unshot at work, if anyone has anything left, then speak now or forever hold your peace.
I think we should do a New Year's Eve bash.
Oh my
And- No, no, we definitely should not. Um, okay. So now let's get back to the kind of the point of doing the bash and wrapping up about the show. We've had this is the first year of Human Happy Hour existing. We've had a pretty interesting go of it. There have been uh mugs made apparently,
That you can't
but
get.
we've had ups and downs. But we've had what? What's the total episode count that we finished with for season one? I think 13?
15.
15. Okay. That's great. 15 shows, and we started this, I don't remember exactly when, but that's good for the first season. And I wanted everybody to come just talk about what their I don't know, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a favorite episode. It could be a favorite moment. It could be something about working on the podcast. Just share some things from season one that make us feel happy or nostalgic about the first year, anything like that. So just to kind of kick it off, I'll talk first about what show I enjoyed the most. I it was tough. I had a tough choice between the show with Rusty and with Ron Placone. I liked both of those a lot. The thing that I liked a lot about uh, the Placone interview was just the random sort of him having things in common with Rena, which was like just
That was really
totally
funny.
weird. Like not just LA things, but Baltimore things.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was just crazy. And then, of course, his response to the final question I thought was hilarious. Or at least it was really fun to watch you all go through that. So that probably won out for my favorite show just because, one, I'm like a fan of Ron Placone anyway, and I was excited for him to come on the show. But yeah, it felt like a good time. He had really interesting things to say. Like we got to talk about stuff that you don't typically hear about whenever you watch or listen to Ron. And yeah, like the Arena Connection stuff, all of that felt like it was just a really good show and kind of like I don't know, it felt like we were doing better and better at these as the series goes along, and that kind of made me feel that way. So that was my favorite episode, I think. Who else has a favorite episode?
Well, my favorite episode is isn't out yet. um, well, let me start by this. This has been my most enjoyable time so far of the entire year. um, I have to say that because I love this dynamic of people just talking and bringing up things and nobody hates anybody. Everybody's it's just like you can disagree and even get like into it. But at the end, it's like, cyber hug. But I love it. This is exactly what I love. But anyway, my favorite episode, I'm waiting for Hope to actually approve the the video so I can upload it. But it was when we did it with Hope, because I felt like I was able to really Luke has autism, and she specializes in child development for kids with special needs, and I felt like I was able to ask almost all the questions that I had going into Luke being a child and wondering if he had autism. What do you do? Is it afraid? Should I be afraid? Is it bad? And I was able to pick her brain and record it. And I think it'll be actually an incredibly valuable. I think it'll be very valuable to anybody that is like, my child hasn't met the milestone yet or something. Because I think it will inform and also let a person know it's okay. It's okay. And it can be wonderful too. Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the that come out because I think and I'm sort of a little bit aware of what parents go through just because, like I was mentioning, my wife with being a pediatric OT, a lot of that population is uh, families and they're dealing with autism, and it's such like a wide range of
Or a
impacts
spectrum.
and things that you could see. Uh, and it's yeah, pretty terrifying, and it seems like it's a very difficult thing even when you have a million facts that you can give to parents to try to tell them, to calm them, to get them to do things consistently, all of that, it's just such an extremely uh, scary thing to deal with right at the front, not knowing anything about it, that there could never be enough resources where there are people like that just trying to tell folks, hey, this is some normal thing and this is a natural thing and this is just being different and this is like uh there's a lot of that reassurance that could happen, and I don't think there's ever really any, I mean, from a society standpoint, we really don't have any support for parents to negotiate that. So yeah, I'm proud of us for having that content. I'll be glad to see when that does come out.
Yep.
What about other folks?
Yeah.
Episodes or
Like,
moments you loved?
well, I'm also looking forward to seeing that episode with Hope because, like I just recently like learned of someone we know that, their son was diagnosed with autism. So like, you know, um, and just because of the teacher shortage and things like that, going through insurance is quite expensive and, kind of sucks that there isn't more support for, people. So I'm looking forward to that. And I just want to say, like, um, I, obviously, as you can see through our stream just now, like we don't always, we're not like we don't agree on everything. But like Jason said, we can like talk it out, and we actually really, our team just works well together. So I'm really happy about that. Um, and I did like Ben's episode because she has so much knowledge. And it breaks a lot of, you know, what we think are true, like she has that knowledge where you're like, it's not that the way we think it is. We've been like kind of like brainwashed to think that, by, propaganda and our government, and, just the way we learn things here in the US, so she has so much knowledge, and I'm glad she got a chance to share that with us. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty early in our time. I think it was like the 4th show or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So that
pretty
was a
early.
Yeah, that was a cool show, not just for content sake, but just for like getting momentum and having somebody on that we really thought would be interesting to have on there. Yeah, like that was a cool moment in general. Yeah, doing that show.
Yeah, she
That's
had a
all of
lot
them.
of different expertise, which I think was what really made it interesting. Is you could kind of go
Mhm.
from these different topics and kind of through line it, but also kind of just show the different chapters in her life, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
also had a very calm confidence. I really liked that. It was just
Yeah.
calm confidence.
Yeah. Does anyone have our stats up by chance or remember like what the top 3
I think that was
full shows and clips are?
I can do that while you guys are talking.
What about you, Rena?
So I'm not good at picking like favorite things, but I have like just a series of moments, and so like whenever I really enjoyed something is when we've got a guest that's like telling a unique story. Like so some of those stand out. So like even and the Ron Placone connect, like those just bizarre things that we had, like punk shows and stuff, like how funny. And in the same general area too. I also like Joe Citro's, like his like kind of ghost stories and those phenomena. Like that was really interesting and wild, and that was cool to have those conversations. And of course, Jason playing with Oliver Dennis during the Savage Joy interview when the cat made the debut. That was fun. Uh, and then Uncle Michael's yeah, like the whole Elvis story. It was like
Oh
what
yeah.
a random like cool story.
Oh,
I
I
sort of
forgot
like
about that.
collect, yeah, like all of those little moments.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I enjoyed the Hope interview too, because that was different and she had a lot of like really great information. And I think that will be a useful resource for anybody that is just kind of discovering that they have a child on the autism spectrum. But yeah, like I just love all these little moments, especially when we can get somebody to say, when they've said, like I think Savage Joy said this in her interview, oh, I've never told anybody this before, or I don't normally say these things on
Yeah.
streams. And when we're able to pull out one of those moments from somebody, that I think is really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, I forgot about that. That was a good story. Yeah. Did I catch you already, Kesare?
No, I haven't seen all of them, unfortunately. But editing them, editing down some of the segments, I really like the Raul Dubé. I can't remember how to
Yep.
pronounce his last
Raul
name without
Dubé.
looking at.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just the story was so engaging. He had told it enough times that he had it down, and so when
Yeah.
he was telling all of it, he really had like, you really got all the different elements of it, and he knew how to present it with emotion. He knew how to like really make a point, add emphasis. So there were just so many little snippets in there where I'm like, that's just a fascinating little tidbit, or that's just the way he put that really puts it right in your head. I thought that one was just, it was just so much like emotion in it that I thought that was just a really good one.
Yeah, I can totally co-sign that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did give a fantastic, and then he also he got vulnerable with us
Oh, yeah.
too, and yeah,
Yeah,
again,
and
then
he
we're
started talking about his alcoholism, which was
Yeah.
a fascinating discussion. Like just all of it, he was very human about it. He was very open and emotional, vulnerable, and he liked the way he talked about it. It was, yeah. I forgot about the alcoholism, but he really was there in that moment and told his story. I thought it was just a perfect example of what we were going for.
Yeah, he's a good guest.
Yeah. So
What you got, Jason?
Ben actually is the number one, the most viewed full edited interview. Also, by far the most comments, which I have to tell you is they're not good. They're a bunch of dick faces, pretty much.
They're a bunch of what?
Dick faces. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I like the people that are defending her. There's it's usually some asshole writes something that's totally like horrible, and then there's some people that defend. But yeah, it's a very controversial comment section, very confrontational. Yeah, I've answered just about everyone. I'm very passive aggressive about it though. I'm like, I'm wondering why you think that or something. Could you explain it further? And they just disappear.
Huh. Okay. Well, I guess it's not surprising.
Yeah. Sad that we live in a time when, or a life where this happens, but
was it much more watched than number 2 and 3 on the list?
Yeah, by a lot. Yeah.
Show?
Yeah, way more. Yeah, without a doubt. It's yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I thought for sure it'd be Vosh. I don't know why. I was just like,
he's got the best. He wins on shorts. All the shorts are him pretty much.
Okay. What are the non-Vosh best shorts? Is that easy for you to tell?
Yeah, I'm just going right down. I can see it. So like number 1 is actually, I think you're right. Wait a minute. Oh no, okay. The number 1 short is Vosh. Actually, when we talked about autism, strangely enough. And then after that is it goes into Ben, and some other shorts would be like Vosh interview. Vosh speaks on what his thing was, Destiny and Hassan Piker, pretty much because those names were in the title.
Okay. The controversy.
Yeah. Then when he talks about Cenk Uygur, this is why titles are really important.
Yes, we're starting to learn like a very basic element of SEO right now from this list.
Yes, exactly. But then the Vosh interview is number 7 of all time, and that's the full interview, not the edited. So that's pretty.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is.
We did get we got our biggest subscriber jump from that. From that interview by far. But yeah, it's good to see all of them getting a mix of exposure. I think that we have a very diverse set of people in the total interview thing. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays out in the future when that whole playlist is ready and everything. Yeah. Well, what about any other highs or lows from just this season in general? We talked about, just being able to come together as a team and do the thing, and sometimes it was easy and sometimes it was hard. But yeah, what are you all thinking of? Oh, hey,
And here he is.
it was a matter of time. Actually, it took a sweet time. It's like almost the end of the stream and we're just now seeing you, sir. But that's okay. What else do we have? Like, it doesn't have to be, any more favorite shows or anything like that, but what did you have a good time doing? I will say that there were, there since we do have such a low subscriber count and stuff like that, we don't get a whole bunch of shenanigans going on during the live show itself. But have you seen anything, interactions with people during shows or maybe on social media that's been cool or remarkable?
Yeah, I have for sure. Well, first I'd like to say, when I did Tim and Andre back when I was doing the other channel, and I'm immensely grateful to have you guys join, and it really completed everything. It made things just so much better. And kicking it off with Vosh was wonderful. But the reason why I say that is because I have to mention Tim's thing on his colon cancer. Had a lot of people say they watched that, and they don't say in the comments, but they've Facebook messaged me and stuff saying how much it helped them because they were thinking about whether they should get a colonoscopy. They've been thinking about whether or not what to do, and they really enjoyed Tim and me in that video. We really, he gets serious for sure, but for the most part, we're pretty lighthearted about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of really good information in there, and I've had a lot of people message me, DM me about how it really helped them a lot, and they really appreciated it quite a bit. And that's kind of what I like. Same with the autism one. I really want them. I want people to feel like they got something, somehow, and without forcing it. You know what I mean? It's just genuinely good, interesting people that have something to say, and then somebody gets something out of it. That's pretty much all I care about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. How does it better justify the effort that you're putting in? How is it what would be better than having people just come give you some direct feedback that, hey,
Yeah.
this was like a valuable thing to me. Like that is an extremely great compliment.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
that is
you get
really
anything like that from other shows by chance?
Oh yeah, definitely the Ben thing for sure.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
some people, usually it's the more aggressive people that comment, and then
Mhm.
somebody will message me. It's usually somebody on my Facebook though. Not a lot of strangers have ever messaged me about it, but they'll say like, it's so awful the way that happened, and she's such a wonderful person, and I love. It's just, it opened me up to understanding a lot of stuff. Like I had a problem on that before that episode about pronouns. I was trying to figure out how I can be okay with it. By the end of it, I'm good with it now. Like it really cleared me up, and I've had people say that to me, like they watched me transform that misunderstanding. So I've gotten a few of those and stuff. Yeah,
Pretty cool.
yeah, for sure.
You were gonna say something, Rena?
now I forgot,
You
but
forgot what it was.
but I think it's nice to hear that, Jason, because like it sounds like it's a lot of people that are in your network, so we don't really get to see it in the
Yeah.
comment section. And I'm the type that I like to avoid comment sections because I feel like nothing good comes from them, and I just won't argue with people on the internet because I feel like it's futile. But I do every now and then I'll look, and if there's something nice, I'm like, oh, that's good. Someone came to like say something legitimate or something kind, and I'm like, it's good. So it's nice. I like to hear about those things. I think that's nice.
Yeah. Do you think you've had any unique challenges, or how has it been for everyone trying to do this, and what are the hard parts that people who are viewers and stuff like that don't see?
Probably me adjusting to Jason's spontaneity. I think that was probably like the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think people can generally tell if they watch any episode, they're kind of like, oh, Jason's like a little bit random, and Rena's, sort of like seems like she's sticking to like a program or something, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
like
both of
Mulder
those
and
things happening
Scully.
at once. Yeah.
Um, I also think that this has all really made a. I'd like to see us branch out and see, like, you guys are awesome on stream. I think you guys should have your own shows too. I just so you know, I know you're all gonna be like, well, Kesray's pretty interested in
Jay,
it,
here you go
so
with that again.
I think you guys are great. I think you should be not just behind the camera. I do. I really do. Just throwing it out there.
Well,
Like
for the
another,
yeah,
like a new show, or I don't know. You could talk about military stuff. Because that's your. Just kidding.
I don't think that's gonna I don't think that's gonna happen.
I know it's a
For
rant. That's
for
a really bad.
context of people watching the stream, Jason tried to bring this up before. It's already been shot down, I think. I'd have to go back to the notes to know. Um, but I'm pretty sure it has been. But yeah, that's yeah, I mean I think that we all have, but it's kind of like the point, or at least it was kind of a point. It's everybody has something that can be interesting if they're, out there and willing to share it and willing to share all of it. Um, it probably applies to many or everyone. And that's, part of the challenge that we have in figuring out who the best people are to invite to the show, because, you got to try to whittle it down some way, but we do think that everybody is interesting to some end or another. So, yeah, I can't disagree with you too hard that it might be interesting if there was a K show or a Kesare show. Um, yeah, maybe we'll think about those, but
Yeah, what
probably
you
not
just said
nothing
reminded
beyond that.
me. My dad had a lot of really bad things to say in life, but one of the things that always got me, that I always remember is we were driving down the road and he would say every one of those set of headlights has a story, rather than just think of them as headlights going by and people in your way on your road kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of what this show is about, is finding out what's behind the headlights. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, only a couple of minutes left, so I want to make sure that folks are able to express anything. If you had some moments or any parting thoughts, this will be the end of the season, and then next year we'll get started. We have some things slated for February, which we will sort of announce them when we get closer to the time for the interviews, but we have a couple of things at least going on in Feb. Maybe some things depending on how we put together stuff for January. Maybe a New Year's bash with just Jason by himself. Um, there will be some stuff coming, but before we move on
I'll do it.
to the next and on, anything season one parting thoughts that folks have here?
Mm, I don't have thoughts, like, but I just wanted to remind everybody to go follow our social media, and then you'll get heads up on our upcoming shows. So, and I think it'll be at the bottom, right, Jason, all
Yep,
our
it's in the
links.
description.
So,
hmm Yeah,
yeah.
you can go and defend people against evil people in the
Mhm.
comments.
Yeah, when
Like
you
and
all
share and subscribe and all those good
Mhm.
things that
Indeed.
that
Yep.
that we often forget to say.
And Patreon. Patreon's important.
Yes.
Because that eventually we could just all do this for a living.
yes, give us money if you want to. When you see those social media things out there, that is often K out there hard working, trying to make sure that we stay promoted. When you see those clips and those edited videos come out, then that's Kesare or Jason or some combination, or maybe some other people helping non-me people, basically making sure that those shows come out. When you see those interesting guests being interviewed, that's quite often Kay or Jason. You're bringing in some interesting person, and everybody here is just, doing this thing because we feel like it's a fun, interesting thing to do. We, came from an environment, we all met each other in an environment where it was an activist organization and it was very stressful. And now we're just trying to have fun with this. So, yeah, please follow us. Please join us. We're willing to, take all kinds of suggestions for how, we should bring people on the show and everything. So engage with us. And I'm looking forward to the next season. I think we'll learn a lot of things. We'll iterate on some things. We'll have some interesting guests. We'll hopefully bring some people back who were really great and have more good times with them. There's a lot of stuff that we can do. So thank everyone who's here in the meeting, of course, for making this a reality. But thanks to everyone who might see this and be willing to, throw us a like or a subscribe every now and then.
And we have
Really
one
appreciate
one
it.
final comment. Tig said this show is tight.
Okay,
Thanks.
Tig. Tig Black, thank you for your support. Yeah, we'll take as much of that as is available out there.
Yep.
All right. Anything I'm missing, folks?
I don't think so.
Back to you to close it out, Rena.
Well, yeah, I just want to say this has been a wonderful season, and it's really awesome that we've hit that milestone of getting to season 1, and it has been amazing doing this with all of you. And I look forward to season 2 and to us learning and growing and hopefully getting more supporters. And yeah, it would be awesome to do this more. So please support us so we can keep doing more of this.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say
Happy holidays.
I had to figure out a way to use it at some point. Thing costs $350.
Oh my god.
Yes!
Look at the cats looking at.
It does other things.
Yeah.
Okay, good. God, I hope so.
It does my laundry.
End the stream, Jason.
All right. See you later. Have a wonderful evening. See you at New Year's.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.